What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Double Coverage. We hope you're still living, loving, and breathing sport. I'm your boy, Dom, and I'm with the great man, Sauce. What a day in basketball it has been. Wow.
Massive, Domma.
Wow.
Absolutely massive. And my boy, Jamal Murray, let me just say, 40 points. He put up more points than Kawhi and playoff Potato together today.
Potato's back.
What a upset. Blew a 3-1 lead. Absolutely busted it.
Oh, I can't believe it, man.
I can't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And the fact that they were up by, 13 points at one point during the second quarter, and you thought, here, they're going to get another lead going into halftime. But, we're talking about it a bit later. It's just ridiculous.
It's insane. We got the usual. We will cover the playoffs to start, and then we got the usual. We got our news, AFL stuff. We got some Formula One to talk about. UFC from the week, massive card this week, which Saucey's very excited.
Huge card. I'm excited.
Very, very big. Premier League started up again. It was great to have some soccer back on our screens. NFL started. We did our season review. One of his 4 bets got up. We're going to review the week that was, and then the week that is coming, and then bit of a special on Hobby Talk. When we get to that, we'll explain, and then obviously we got the most anticipated segment of the show, Sauceys Smokey, to end it off. But let's get straight into it, big fella. We're going to start with the East. We had game 1. We're not talking about any more of this second round stuff, except when we get to the West. We'll touch on the Lakers in Houston, because we've got a bit to say about that. But let's start with the East.
Game 1. The Lakers.
Yeah. Game 1. My boys, MIA, versus the Boston Celtics.
Buckets!
Jimmy Buckets.
That's all I'm talking about down the stretch. Buckets pushing the pace, hitting that big 3 at the end there, and then in the overtime, forcing the issue. But then, don't forget, the man. Bam.
Bam.
Bam out of bio with the block. Huge.
Oh, it
one
was
that Dikembe Mutombo would be proud of. That was definitely one you could have been waving the finger at and giving them the no.
Oh, very proud of that, big Dikembe. I'll tell you, it was a game of runs. Really, it was. But it was literally just pure basketball. It had everything. It had mid-range, layups, threes, contested shots, or your open shots. It had great play calling. It had cuts to the ring, screens, elite defense. Like, at times, it was just like they were suffocating each other to even get shots up. Like, it was unbelievable to watch.
Good playoff basketball, really like we want to see, mate.
That's what we want to see.
You had a variety of play. It was good by both teams. Jason Tatum showing that he's the guy on that team.
Jason Tatum.
I mean, he had the opportunity to win it at the end, going before the overtime. I don't know why he didn't try force the issue and go to that mid-range like I talk about, Domma. I don't like that. He's trying to pull it up, step back 3. It's not your game. I think he's would have been better off there just trying to get a high screen and roll, get a little bit of a mismatch on a smaller guy, and in that haste of them trying to switch that, then just rise up over the top, a la Kobe Bryant used to do, get to the top of the key there and just rise up for the game winner. But he
couldn't be stopped.
You were down. You made a big run in that fourth quarter, and you came back. And I'm just gonna say, ladies and gentlemen. And I said to Domma, I said, man, you're in such a good spot going forward. The Heat organization. I mean, people have said that you may have overachieved this year. No one really expected this from the Heat. But, man, Tyler Hero, that guy, straight out.
Your boy. He
is a bowler. He is a bowler. I'm telling you, he's, 5 of 10. The rookie, first-year player, Eric Spoelstra, first game of the Western Conference Finals, confidence off the bench, giving him a lazy 40 minutes, ladies and gents. That's how much confidence Eric Spoelstra has got in this guy. And rightfully so, because he's nearly got a triple-double, 1 assist short of a triple-double the guy is going to be the starting point guard for the Heat organization going forward. The man's not a shooting guard. He's a point guard. He's a starting point guard in this league. He can make plays for other guys. I just love the way he goes about it, man.
He's definitely one of those players that we've discussed as well with Miami's makeup in terms of like what's going to happen next year and trying to trade for guys. And obviously Bradley Beal's one of those guys that has been mentioned a few times. But with Hero really just leaps and bounds, just progressing, and him becoming like that starting point guard for Miami, it could be potential now for Miami to package up a Dragic with an Olynyk and maybe even Kendrick Nunn or a Duncan Robinson and sending it to the Wizards for Bradley Beal and then getting some more vets. But they've got so many options now because no one, like you said, no one really expected Miami to do anything. They expected them, that was it. Milwaukee wiped the floor with them in the second round and their season would be over. But it's one of those, we said it about Jimmy Buckets as well. He struggles a bit sometimes throughout the game, but when it gets to those clutch minutes and clutch moments of a game, he really it's like he just doesn't want to lose. He's just got that mentality to go out there and win it. And Tatum has the exact same mentality. It just happened to be that Bam got a massive block on him.
Oh, he didn't see him coming. If he seen him coming, he probably double clutches that and tries to force the foul or get the shot up. But Bam, great play, came from the blind side from behind Jimmy Buckets and just what a block. Like he's reaching back and, Tatum cocked that thing back, you know what I mean, to put it with some force. So for him to get up and then his arms bending backwards and then he pushes the ball back out, great play. Like, a
bit of LeBron James on Thiago splitter in the NBA Finals against San Antonio. Remember that? Front onto the basket. LeBron just went up and just rejected him.
Bang! That man's had a.
It was an awesome game. It was an awesome game.
It was a great game.
And Boston, one thing that we were critical of, and like we always say, we're happy to be proven wrong. Their bench, we always said that they haven't got depth. It's yet to be proven, but Wanamaker, Williams, I think is the other bloke. They stood up. They really did stand up today. Wanamaker made some massive plays for Boston, some pivotal, like in key steals at crucial moments of the game. So
he had a lazy 5 steals, Domma.
He was really good.
That's good stuff, man. Off the bench,
he was really good.
That's
5 extra possessions.
We don't know what the talks are if Hayward could come back, but even if they could get Hayward back,
they reckon next game,
ease him in, maybe put him on a minutes restriction, having him come off the bench for 20 minutes. That would be better than nothing. I think that would really, really help them. I mean, Smart stepped up today, second top score, 26 points. Kemba Walker's probably got to be a bit better than what he did. 6 of 19. 1 of 9 from 3. That's not good enough. He's got to step up a bit better.
I don't know. He's been drawing the double team and stuff, but this is the thing. They're loaded. Their starting 5 is loaded. It's just that problem when it gets to their bench. But if their bench can stand up, they can potentially win games. And if Hayward does come back and he comes off the bench, I think that's a better dynamic for Boston. Because Smart's a good defender, and it's good to have a good defender out there at the beginning that can...
I think, that's probably the one lineup that they can probably afford, because you've got 3 guys who are more than capable of knocking down the 3, and then you've got shown Smart is more than capable. Tice can take the occasional 3, but he knows his role within the team.
But I'd prefer Hayward off the bench, because then okay, we're going, our 6th man is an offensive power, like a bit of a threat there to the opposition, where if you go to the bench now... Smart really is like, he's okay offensively. He's more of a defender. And then you go, Wanamaker, Ojale, all those guys, they're not really offensive threats. But if you go to the bench and your 6th man's Gordon Hayward, okay.
A guy that's averaged 20 points in the league multiple years.
Exactly. So they've got a lot of potential there. And not for anything, this is a series. It hasn't even begun to pan out yet. Like that, what we saw
6-7 games, Domma. I'm seeing it. Today this game could have went Boston's way.
100%.
It was right there to take for either team, but it's just a few big plays. That's what makes the difference.
But what we said as well about Miami ended up it's extremely well. It's just true, really. Like, you can't panic I'll be honest, I was a bit worried when they were slowing the tempo down for us, and they were really getting a heap of stops because we can't play at a slow pace. But the thing is, when we were down by 13 at the start of the second, and we outscored them 37 to 29 in the second quarter, and we had it even at 55 apiece. But when we were down by 13, not once was I feeling anxious of like, oh, we're going to get killed by 30 here. Because all it takes is a couple guys to get hot, and then we're back in it. We were in front by 6 points in the second quarter at one stage. So we were down by 13, and we swung it to a 6-point lead. So great
I said
series.
that to you, Domma. I said,
Yeah.
it was anyone's taking. The game was really close. It was just a matter of who could get the stops at the crucial times, and it was Miami in that overtime. And
Exactly.
got you the win.
That's it, mate. So
let's roll on.
Yeah.
Onto the big upsets.
No. We're not going there yet, mate. I want your
we're not
take
going
on
there.
The Lakers. No, Lakers first against Houston. Yeah, look how happy he is.
Let's talk about the Lakers. Let's talk about LeBron James finishing both his series in 5 games. The man's sitting back in his hotel room at Disneyland. He's got his feet up. He's got his red wine. He likes his red wine, LeBron. He's eating his nice steak dinner. He's got his personal chef there cooking him up a storm. He's just relaxing, all right? LeBron's getting that rest. He needs that rest at age 36, 37. I forgot what age he is exactly. He just needs that bit of rest. He's going to come out here in the next series. He's going to come out here in the next series and just show us what he's got, mate. I'm confident going into the next series, but I'm also aware of the Nuggets. But let's touch on the Houston series. Domma,
mate, let's just say you shut them out beautifully in the last 2 games. Yeah, they came back in game 4 right at the end, but you killed them. When you turned the Jets on defense, they were stifled. They couldn't do anything. LeBron was massive in both the last 2 games. AD was quiet in the last game, but AD really didn't have to do anything in the last game because all the role players stood up. Rondo has actually been massive. He copped a lot of flack before the bubble started, where it's like Avery Bradley's out, we've got Rondo. Rondo's washed up. That's what people were saying. But he's really he's taken it to another level. Like you've always said, he's a vet. He's got an IQ. Mate, there's a reason why
he gets the nickname called Playoff Rondo. Does anyone remember? He was literally single-handedly bringing that New Orleans team when he was on that team. They were winning that series, and then he got injured, and it changed the whole series when he was playing clutch minutes when he was in New Orleans for that one season. I think it was DeMarcus Cousins was there.
Yeah, DeMarcus Cousins was in
DeMarcus Cousins. I think AD was injured, so it was like Drew Holiday and Rondo were like the starting backcourt. I mean, they were going to win that series, and where they had no right to win it. And he got injured, and it changed the whole series. There's a reason that the guy is just. I feel he's just meant to be in the playoffs. Like, he plays better when he gets to the playoffs. Yeah, it's just proven.
We've seen it through his career as well. Like,
I mean, people, and the thing is, people want to still dare him this late in his career to shoot that jump shot, which is all fine because like the statistics are probably there. But
by the looks of things, he's definitely worked.
By the looks of things, and I've watched Rondo for many years. His jump shot is actually better. It's improved so much where it was 5 years ago. He's worked on that thing, and when he gets the ridiculous open looks, like you're at the end of the day, you're earning millions of dollars. You're an NBA player. You got to be able to make that shot, and he was crucial. He made good plays. And you know what Rondo allows us to do? It allows LeBron James, because essentially LeBron James is our point guard. With our starting 5, LeBron James is our point guard. Now, he has to handle the ball. Now, when he doesn't have to handle the ball and we can get stops, and Rondo brings the ball up, we've seen in that Houston series, off the ball, LeBron will push down the court, got the mismatch, get deep in on the paint on Covington, get deep in on the paint on Eric Gordon, even Harden at times, and he'd just post them up and just bully them. And we dominated points in the paint. I said that they would have an issue once we started dominating those points in the paint, and it's what happened, after the first game where I think we got beat points in the paint and we lost the game rightfully so. We then didn't lose points in the paint for the rest of those 4 games and closed out the series. So,
Yeah. But in saying that, Houston, well, they stunk. Let's be honest, they absolutely stunk. Except for Harden, like we said, we'll give him a pass. But he actually played really well, surprisingly, in a team that literally just fell apart. The team just, I don't know what they were doing. He is, as we say, the greatest left-handed player of all time. And as we read today, the GM, Daryl Morey, actually said, I think it was a season and a half ago, that he was the greatest offensive player in the history of basketball. So, yeah, he's definitely a lot better than Jordan. And we can see that, evidently, that a guy that is afraid to actually take a mid-range shot and settles for a 3 and has to pass it out is definitely as good as Jordan, if not better. But the absolute crap that comes out of people's mouths, the absolute shit that comes out of people's mouths, just baffles me. It absolutely baffles me. The fact that I hope that people have now woken up to the fact of our boy Westbrook is the biggest spud in the history of basketball when it comes to playoffs.
He's the greatest regular season player of all time.
Of all time.
He's the greatest regular season player. Anyone just go look at when this guy gets to the playoffs, he turns into an absolute brick. The guy, when he gets to the playoffs, he turns into an absolute brick.
Come on.
Straight out.
I can't stand guys like that. Yeah, they talk a big game. He's talking smack when they're down 20.
They're down 20 points. He's saying, you need to double team me. Shut the hell up, Westbrook. Pack your bags, go home, mate.
You couldn't even hit the backside of a bar.
Pack your bags and get the hell out of Houston, because I'm telling you, Houston will be trading him, because the way that organization works, I can see him straight out the door as quick as he came. Yeah. Mike D'Antoni not coming back. He's exercised his free agency clause in his contract. That's a blessing in disguise for the Houston organization. That is a blessing in disguise.
Westbrook gone.
Let me tell you, anyone out there who's on D'Antoni's side, the guy is a great regular season coach. His game plan holds up in the regular season, gets a good record, but come to playoffs, it's been proven over the years when he's played this pace and space offense, where he pushes the pace, looks to get the space and get the shots off early in the shot clock. And, he's transitioned that game back before, when he had the likes of Nash and a couple of those teams where he coached previously. It was less 3-point shots, but as the game's moved into a 3-point era, he's adapted that game style and made it a 3-point centric offense where you push the pace and look for early 3-point shots. And when you want to live and die by the 3 and do that, that's what you get. You get beaten 4-1 by a superior team that dominated you in the paint, when you had zero rim protection and traded your guys out that could give you rim protection, because you decided to choose Westbrook over Capella instead of getting another shooter and making Harden the playmaker. Essentially, get another shooter. Capella be that other guy that hits the boards hard. You have 4 shooters. You have 3 shooters around Harden plus Capella hitting the boards. Make Harden the guy.
It would have been a completely different series. If they had a big guy that was actually not PJ Tucker, because PJ Tucker played really well, but it would have been a useful asset. He's undersized, but when PJ Tucker, useful as an asset at the 4. If you've got a Capella, it's like, it's that's perfect. Right.
And
Covington at the 3, he was dominating.
For Tucker, he was just too undersized. When in the first game, when he was AD was trying to back down and do a bit of that sort of movement, trying to move Tucker off the spot. He's very strong. He keeps his center of gravity really well.
He's unbelievably strong.
But once he realized he could turn, get that triple threat position, jab step, and just, pretend to up fake him and drive by him. Because, once AD takes that first step, he's pretty much his shoulders past him, and he was getting to the ring at will. So, it changed the whole series once we changed up our game plan. And not for anything, our role players play better than their role players.
100%. It's a big ups as well to like a PJ Tucker. He was really good in the series. Even Robert Covington, he's completely transformed his 3-point shooting game and his ball game completely. He got no respect for shooting threes when he was at Philly. Everyone just to leave him open. He couldn't shoot. He was another guy that couldn't hit the backside of a barn. I hope Westbrook is actually taking notes, because there's guys that if they actually focus on things to make their game better, instead of just being this Oh, I like watching him in the regular season, and he's a good player, but he's not a great player. I don't care if you've won an MVP for goosing your stats to have the most triple doubles ever, mate. That does not. What's that do for me? Absolutely nothing. And as we say, Sauce, you can have triple doubles, but if your team loses by 10, 15, what do we say? It doesn't count because that triple double did nothing to help your team win a game. So I don't know. He has to probably get traded. There's talks that Harden potentially should request the trade, but that's his team. So the team is actually built around Harden. They brought Westbrook in to try and help him. It didn't work. Clearly, I think management like Daryl Morey should be held accountable because he's made calls to get rid of guys to help Westbrook. And like you said to me, it's built. This team's built to beat Golden State. Yet we knew coming into the season that Golden State was going to be terrible and they weren't going to make the playoffs. Yet they continued with that build for the team. Like, yeah, okay, Golden State's got Kevon Looney. He's their big guy. But when you got the Lakers with like LeBron and AD, Denver with Jokic, bloody Clippers, if Clippers were there, they got like a Montrezl Harrell and they got their Zubac and they got those guys under the ring. You're not going to be able to compete with teams like that. They can play good perimeter defense. Like, I just don't understand. They go by analytics. They live and die by the three. And guess what? Like you said, pack your bags and get out. Sick of your crap. You're not for anything. You're an indictment of the game of basketball. You play basketball at a disgraceful. It's a disgraceful way to play basketball.
All I got to say is, they want to. You are not. You do not have two of the best shooters on your team of all time. There's only one team that can play that three-point style, and that's the Golden State Warriors, because they have two of the best three-point shooters of all time. And even them, they don't play that same sort of style that Houston plays. It's completely different. They move the ball. Everyone touches it. It's not like that at Houston. We'll give the Houston Rockets. We'll end on this. This is a little tip for you, Houston Rockets, and your organization. Sauce and I, we don't get paid the big bucks like your front office and stuff over there. But here's a tip: when Golden State Warriors get the ball in a mid-range position, they actually take the mid-range shot. They don't, if they're wide open, they don't go, we'll settle for a three where it's a high percentage of missing, when it's actually easier that we can shoot the two or go for a layup. That's the difference. Like you just said, Sauce, it's move the ball, screens, try and get the three. Obviously, if Clay or Steph are really hot, you get them the ball. Clearly, it makes sense. It's the same with Harden. But they don't just go out there every game and go, we're just going to shoot threes and have layups. They actually know what a mid-range jump shot is. And guess what? They actually got a big guy in their team. So, anyway, we'll see what happens, what unfolds there over the offseason. I hope there's a bit of a clean-up because it's a great organization and they've just butchered the way that they play basketball down there. So, probably deserving of being knocked out. Late show.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to what was the biggest game this afternoon. Game 7, win or go home. Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray versus gone missing Kawhi and our boy. Playoff potato return.
Game 7.
Denver Nuggets have come back from 3-1 down to win the series. That makes them the first team ever to come back 3-1 twice in the playoffs in the history of the NBA.
Elite.
I genuinely cannot believe what we saw.
Hey, I called it. I said if there's any team that can cause upsets, and anyway, we can go back to our first podcast when we did our preview. I said Denver is a team that if anyone's going to cause upsets on that west side, it's Denver. Because I like that team because they had experience last year in the playoffs, and that counts for something going forward. And it seems as though, obviously, that chemistry's there. And I talked about it, once they get some of those guys back, they can lock down on their defense. Their defense wasn't the best this year through the regular season, but that had part to play with. You didn't have one of your best defensive guys there, Gary Harris. So, they were able to get them back, and they've shown.
They keep riding off your boy.
They shut down the Clippers, the almighty overrated Clippers. They're all calling that overrated because everyone said they were supposed to win the title. Oh, you got playoff potato and the floor. You're supposed to win the title. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. when your two best guys combined for less points than Jamal Murray.
Jamal
in total,
Murray.
24 points. Jamal Murray, 40 points by himself. My boy, Jamal Murray, you know how much I love that man. The guy's going to be a superstar. I don't care if people want to get on him, but I think he's got that potential that he hasn't even – this is the next level of his game that we're seeing, right? Don't forget, I think he's only 23, 24.
So I think he's 23. He's
right?
young.
Come on, man.
This is the next wave of superstars. Once like the LeBrons are gone, these are the guys. Your Mitchells, your Murrays, your Doncic's, those Tatum's. Those are your next wave. And like the NBA is in good hands if you've got a guy that's offensive. And Jokic. Let's just take a moment to appreciate what the big fella did today. He had 16 points, 22 boards, 13 assists. He was 3 blocks, 2 steals. He shot only 38.5%. He shot 38.5% from the field and 0 from 3. But, mate, he had one of the best games as a big man. The pressure on his defense that he was putting on players was just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It was. If you haven't watched this game, go and watch Murray's fadeaway 3 at the end where he was freaking jumped out of Disney World, mate. It was just
rubbing salt into the wounds when he hit that fadeaway there.
It was just ridiculous. I don't know what I can say. I was speechless, and rightly so. Everyone jumped on this on Twitter, gave it to Clippers, and people, it's negativity towards the Clippers. Let's just put it this way. We spoke about it. We've spoken about it in previous pods. And I tell you what, I don't think it's justified just yet because Doc Rivers and Paul George have come out and spoken and they've got slammed for a few things that they said. Is everyone forgetting that Kawhi Leonard has shot 26 points in the last 2 games? He went missing.
Yep. That's apparently the best player on the planet by some people calling that.
The best player on the
planet is not what
he's wearing gold, mate. He's wearing blue and gold. The best player on the planet. He wears number 23, and he plays for the purple and gold. Sorry, wears 23.
Purple and gold, baby. Late show.
Purple and gold. He plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. That is the greatest player in the world. All right, let's stop beating around the bush. He's the best player. It's just so much to unpack. We could sit here for an hour and just bag the shit out of the Clippers. We could, because let's just put it this way. Stop making excuses, first of all. Paul George said, it wasn't a win or bust year. The longer we play together, the better we'll become. Yeah, that's true. How about you? Like, one thing that I know Sauce was loving it on the tweets. Even me, we're loving the tweets this hour, and really, that's a cop out, because not for anything. If you don't sit and rest every second game, you would have chemistry as a team.
Yeah.
Like, stop using that crap. You decided to sit out before COVID, and you didn't string along all these games together, different lineups with a different star, and Paul George and Kawhi were only playing X amount of games together. And then COVID hit, and then obviously you couldn't train together, and you come back in the bubble. What did you expect was going to happen? And it's a piss poor excuse as well to say that it wasn't a win or bust season. You're going out there to win a championship. You're the best team in the league, according to yourselves, because you got your Pat Bevs and your Marcus Morris and Paul George that talk that much smack. These are 3 guys that haven't proven anything in their career, and they're going around talking smack to everyone. I'll be honest, you 3 guys have accomplished jack shit in your career, and you're talking shit. That's the thing I don't understand.
Ladies and gents, if anyone hasn't seen, you got to go see Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum's little tweet back and forth about just the grilling Pat Beverly, saying, we're happy to extend the Cancun invite to you, buddy. We haven't booked
and yet. And where that stems from, ladies and gents, don't be like, Portland can't talk because they got kicked out. They got kicked out and didn't say a word. They humbly left the building, and the Clippers took it upon themselves to taunt them out the building and ridicule them and give them shit. And you know what? You get you get what's coming. And Paul George has got no leg to stand on. Pat Bev, Morris, just stay off social media. That's all I'm saying. Don't open your mouth and say a thing until you win a title. That's the next time you talk. Until then, you're irrelevant. You actually are irrelevant.
But, Dom, I'm just going to bring it back to this point, yeah? You brought in these two guys, right? You brought in these two guys. You built this team around them. In the biggest game of their whole season, Game 7, regardless you're up 3-1, in the biggest game of the whole season, the fact that your best player had 14 points and shot 6 of 22 from the field, and your supposed second best player, who's overrated massively, shot 4 of 16 from the field and had a whopping 10 points. Combined, put those guys together on the court, they were a negative 41 plus minus. Meaning when those two guys were on the court, they were a negative 41 points. I thought they're supposed to make your team better.
No, playoff Potato played well in Game 6, which is fine. He's been inconsistent the whole playoffs. But Leonard, I just don't want to just skim over Kawhi Leonard. I don't want to give shit to Paul George and stuff. I'm giving crap to Paul George because he talked smack to people and it bit him in the ass now. That's why I'm saying. But
let's not gloss over this, Domma. This is a guy who believes he's the best player. He's said it.
He said it to people. He believes he is the best player. It's actually documented. It's out there. He said it. I'm the best player. I'm this, whatever. You think because he doesn't say anything that he doesn't speak. Go do your research. He's made comments and he's put stuff out there. He's been quoted saying these things. But the whole thing is, let's not gloss over the fact that in the last 2 games, he stunk. He's supposedly the best player in the world. And Mark Jackson said it. And what Mark Jackson said, it is music to our ears because we've been saying it from day one on this podcast. If LeBron James did what Kawhi Leonard did in the last 2 games, it would be on the front page of every newspaper, the leading story on every freaking media outlet, sports talkback show, every sports podcast, everything. He'd be getting slammed, absolutely slammed.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me just put it out there that LeBron is 14-0 when he has a 3-1 record. So he ain't blown no 3-1.
So let's not gloss over the fact that what Kawhi did was terrible. And a few people have sent us messages throughout the day saying that it was the second biggest choke in the history of basketball behind the Warriors' 3-1 loss to Cleveland in the finals. And I'll tell you what, they're probably not wrong. We're not saying that it's true, but there's a case there to be made. You're up 3-1 against Denver. You're supposedly the powerhouse of the competition. You got the
favourites to win it all. I'm agreeing with you, Domma. I'm agreeing with you.
So I'm happy. I'm actually happy they're not there.
But you know what I'm also happy about? That amongst all of this, the Nuggets have had to fight through 2 grueling 7-game series. Yeah. In the meantime, LeBron and the Lakers had 4 games less. You are loving this. 4 games less minutes. So Jamal Murray's been averaging something like 40 minutes a game. So Jamal Murray's played 160 minutes more in this stretch. And Jokic in the works.
Man,
I'm going to go in confident, Dominic. I'm going on.
You bookies
have got us at like $1.20 favourites to win the series.
No, but you're the favourite to win the whole thing now. You were the second best team behind the Clippers. That's what everyone said. Everyone said that the Clippers were so far ahead of the Lakers and the Lakers have nothing to beat the Clippers, so the Clippers automatically win the title. That's what it was.
Honestly, LeBron watching that in his
he was loving it. He was
what's he doing? He should have IGTV the whole thing. That he doesn't have to face the claw and PG on defense.
He probably had one of those. He probably had one of those those MJ cigars in his mouth, getting up and said, "I told you, boy, you should have come and played for me. I told you, boy, you should have come and played for me." He's like, "I never lost." That's what he. He's loving it. I never lost 3-1 up. I never lost. That's what he's talking. He's just talking smack. He's like, you could, one of the two of you
Oh,
could have
that's
come.
great.
But
Oh, that's great.
Kawhi's like, I think I'm better than LeBron. I'm the best player in the world. Paul George is like, I think Kawhi's better than LeBron. That's why I want to play with him. LeBron's like, come talk to me when you achieve something. Come on. I know Kawhi's got 2 titles. I know that Kawhi's got 2
50
titles.
years now they haven't made a conference final. The Clippers, the route keeps going. 50
Happy
years.
anniversary, Clippers. Happy anniversary, mate.
You've cracked the half century. 50 seasons.
Mate, you deserve to get slammed. So take it. You can't you can't dish it out, mate, if you can't take it. So get ready because this is nothing. The only thing now, we look at Denver Lakers. We've had a bit of a discussion about that, the matchups. We'll see what happens. We'll obviously cover that as it unfolds. We might start doing some IGTV, Instagram Live, once those games unfold.
We'll try and get those up. I think it'll be good now with the conference
final
going into the final.
The biggest concern,
more of those.
We'll leave it on this note. The biggest concern for me, if Denver wins this series, is Clippers getting a pass because LeBron gets bagged because the Clippers are no longer there.
That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. But it ain't going to happen, all right? Because LeBron's coming out here and winning. But and by all means, guys, I'm not sitting here going, we're going to win in 4 and 5. I actually think this is going to 6-7 games. That Nuggets side is so resilient. I think this is going to be a tough series. Genuinely, I don't know if I think we might have some decent matchups for Murray, but I think Jokic is going to be a handful, man. Like I think Murray, we've got a bit of length that we can put on him. Rondo's a good defender. But then you've also got, Danny Green that can rotate out onto him with decent length. And then our other Caldwell Pope. But yeah, I think it's going to be a tough series. Great. It's going to be a tough series.
But if you're an NBA lover right now, you are loving the games and the matchups that you get.
And look, not for anything.
Let's go to the bubble every year, mate.
I'm happy to see Denver do well. I actually like the way that they play basketball. It's an entertaining brand to watch. It's so good to watch. So anyone that plays entertaining basketball, I'm barracking for because they're what makes the game enjoyable.
Exactly. We'll see what happens, and like we said, we'll bring it to you as it unfolds. That was full on, mate. At least you got to have a crack with the Clippers. That's all that matters. Coming up next, we've got the news around the world, starting with the AFL. We'll be back. All men have 2 versions of themselves. The one that you are now, and the inspired version of yourself that is hiding deep down inside. My mission for the podcast is help men break through their limitations and become their most inspired version. The Inspired Man, a podcast from Andrew Soteropoulos. All right, here we go. Second last round unfolded last week for the AFL. Last round this week. Let's do a quick run through of the recap of round 17.
How'd the tips go?
Coast. I caught you by 3.
Oh, Jesus.
I've had
an absolute mare.
Yeah.
I've had an absolute mare.
Yeah, you had a shocker. You tipped last week St Kilda, Richmond, Freo, Port, GWS, Carlton, Dogs, Lions, Pies. I tipped West Coast who beat St Kilda. I picked Geelong, so you got that one. Actually, you gained one on me there. We both picked Freo. They defeated North. Port Adelaide, we both picked. I tipped the D's who beat GWS, who you picked. I tipped the Crows against the Blues. We both tipped the Dogs as they defeated Hawthorn. We both tipped the Lions, they beat Sydney, and we both tipped the Pies, they beat Gold Coast. So, yeah, Adelaide, man, they came out firing. We thought they weren't going to win a game, and they didn't look like they were going to win a game.
And now they've won 3 in a row. Hey, look, it's what you need. Your side, you've been down all year. Like, the fans need some promise going into next year. It looks as though that they're potentially, they've got nothing to play for, Domma. So the fact that they've come out here and having a red-hot crack, this is great for the fans. It's the promise that the fans want to see. Like, at the end of the day, Adelaide, they are in that position where they probably are rebuilding a bit of their list. And, who knows what can happen next year. It has probably helped that they've been able to get some of their better guys back from injury and play some of those guys. So, I mean, I don't know where they sit. It's not enough sample size to say that they're going to be better next year. We'll have to see how things turn around for them in that sense. But one thing that I am disappointed about is Carlton, because they had everything to play for. If they win these next two games, they
came back.
Yeah, but that's not good enough, Domma. This has been the consistent issue
correct.
with Carlton going past the last two seasons.
Get the jump on you.
Yeah.
You can't let the teams get the jump on you early and fight your way back. If you give teams 10-goal head starts, for example, it wasn't 10 goals in this game, but if you give teams 6-goal head starts, that's a 6-goal deficit you need to wipe out in 3 quarters.
Yeah, so there were impossible. 5 goals, 3, 2 behinds at the quarter time siren.
5 goals.
And they would catch up from there, Domma, essentially.
Carlton outplayed them in the second half. It's just because there was too many points on the board already. How are you meant to rebound from that? I agree with you. The fast starts, they got to try and stem that. They only lost by 3 goals.
Second half they won it by 5 goals, but the fact that they
gave
lost
them that 5-goal head start.
They lost the first half 1 goal to 8 goals essentially. So they were just playing catch up, and
that's it. You're not winning that.
You got to play 4 quarters footy to be a consistent side and be in games to have a chance at the end. And Carlton didn't do that, and the fact it's disappointing for them because I said to I thought that Carlton was on the way up and they were going to take that next step, potentially sneak a final spot, and I was going to be like, what a great thing for the Carlton Football Club. But disappointing the way they've come out there. Like a team that's won 2 games in the season, there's no reason that they should have gotten beaten in that manner. It's pretty poor, to be honest. I thought Carlton was the better side going into that. So. Yeah, it's typical Carlton form. So let's see if they can improve on this next season and push on.
Definitely. I completely agree. Your boys, the Dogs, I know they beat Hawthorn, but they're coming into that form that they had in that 2016 season when they won the flag, like stringing along some awesome football leading into the finals. You've discussed, and you said it a few times, they're your Smokey, and I think there's a bit behind the Dogs. They've got a bit to play for. They've got the ability. Anything can happen this year as well, as we've said. It's played interstate. They're being really good, the Dogs. Really,
so
really
they've won 4 of their last 5, and the only loss that they had was against the Cats, which they lost by 11 points, which is not a big margin at all. They also had a notable win over the Eagles. So these are teams that are right at the top. They're mixing it with the best. The fact that they've been able to put this winning sort of stretch together, going into final series. I mean, this is what it's all about. It's about stringing those games together. We've seen years in the past where Geelong comes out the blocks, they dominate at the start of the season, come into the season, they're lacking. Their teams have figured them out. You need to be winning games and have that form at the right time of the season. It's about getting hot at the right time of the season. And as we've seen previously in previous years, that if you can get hot at this time of the season, play some of your best footy, string those matches together, anything can happen in final series.
Definitely.
They are definitely my Smokey. I really like the Dogs. I think anyone outside of West Coast and Richmond, I think West Coast and Richmond, and potentially, I say Geelong, but the only reason I don't go confident in Geelong is because previously they're just showing that they fall apart at this time of the year at some point. So unless they can prove me otherwise, then prove me otherwise. Other than that, I'm sticking with the top 2 teams that have proven, tried and tested in the last few years that they can get the job done. So
definitely.
Outside of them 2, I'm going with the Doggies as my Smokey.
Nice.
I wouldn't want to be facing the Doggies. Let me just say first.
No. We did have Melbourne and GWS, the 2 biggest pretenders in the comp, so they're no good. They're trash. Yeah. I don't know what's happening at those clubs. They've gone backwards, mate.
Yeah, they have gone backwards, Dom, and we'll just touch on it quickly. Obviously we spoke about GWS and their lack of urgency. It seems as though at times throughout games where they just go missing. And the fact that they've got all this talent, like, they've had to trade away guys because they can't keep them under the salary cap. Are some of their players now becoming to the point where they're potentially overrated and overpaid because they're not getting the job done? So maybe they have to have a look at the list and some of those top guys that they've been, going on about, these guys are unbelievable talent. Well, maybe they're not. Have a look at it.
Maybe they fit in well because they're playing a team that's full of guys that are skilled. Like, makes them look better than what they actually are.
I don't know, Domma, because it seems as though
cohesively at the moment they don't look great.
Like, here's a team that got to a grand final last year. You would think, all right, they're going to definitely be in finals this year. They're going to miss out on finals.
Well, they're equal with, I think, Melbourne. I think they're fighting for that 8th spot, but there's a bit that has to happen for that to go
there's
ahead.
no way that they're getting that.
They're not good enough.
There's no way they're getting that 8th spot.
But they're not
the Doggies are versing Fremantle. That's more than a winnable game for the Doggies.
Oh, they're home. The Dogs will win that.
They win that. They sew up that spot. You've got the Saints. The Saints are taking on. Let's have a look here. Saints are taking on GWS, so they have to beat the Saints.
To win that game. Well,
and they've got the worst percentage out of those teams that they're chasing. They're sitting on 100.62%. You've got the Demons above them on 106 and the Dogs above them on 103.94. So they're really up against it. A lot has to happen for them to even make it. I'm calling it. They ain't making it. It's just disappointing season. Super disappointing.
It is disappointing.
And the Demons, even though they're within a chance, where are they? We don't really know. They were expecting bigger things this season. Paul Roos came in there and tried to build that list, and apparently they've got a great list. And then you look at some of their players and some of their key position guys, and you're like, you've got guys in good key positions, but it just seems as though that they just still have that issue of not being able to find a way to win games. They just go missing at times. It's lackluster performances. Their pressure goes missing. I
think it's time. Yeah, they just turned to 2021, and unfortunately for these fans, it's disappointing that it's going to happen, mate. They're not good enough. You'd be spewing as a D supporter watching Christian Petrarca run out every week and put on a clinic. He's having the best career of his career.
That's one positive for the D's this year. He's stepped up his game, and this is the potential that everyone's seeing Petrarca coming through the draft. He's really shown and stepped up his game this year. Maybe this whole Covoy thing where he's had nothing other than to focus on football and not get distracted by outside things like we've heard he does like to have a beer or two, potentially. It's helped him. He's put the best form together he has in his whole career. So he has to continue this and show us that he's the number one midfielder down there at the D's. At the D's.
Definitely. A couple more games to get through. Richmond Geelong. I know it was 5-15. Richmond could have demolished them, but Geelong were actually better in a lot of statistical categories around the ground in the game, but it was just, it was just unbelievable. They just couldn't do anything. They got to a point where they were in front of the Tigers, I'm pretty sure, in this game. But 7-15 they kicked. That's ridiculous. It could have been over very, very quickly. These are two teams, while Geelong's another team probably there. They are in the top four, but they are a top four side. Will they make an impact? I called them pretenders a few weeks ago. I don't think they're any good, to be honest. I can't see them winning. They probably could win a first final if they play against like a Port Adelaide. I just don't know. I'm with you still, Sauce. I think it's just a Richmond West Coast thing. We will do a finals podcast.
Special AFL finals podcast.
Where we just go through the 8 and the finals matchups. But I'm not going to look much into that. I think we'll just move on.
I just think the better team came out on top. They could have won by more. They just forced Geelong to play the game that they
Correct.
want them to play, which is, excuse me, they stopped them from switching the ball, putting that ball through the middle, forcing them to kick it long down the line. And that's just playing into Richmond's hands, really, because they're really good at the contest. It was really, really, really even around the ground from what I can tell, where, the clearances were quite even. Oh, here we go. No, this is what I'm saying. Around the ground, Geelong dominated them in the clearances, in that regard. But then when it came out of the initial stoppage, they just got overwhelmed. Richmond were better at winning one-on-ones. Within the stoppage where they had numbers around the ball, they were able to get it out and get first use, but they weren't able to capitalise with that first use. The inside 50 count was real even, 40 to 42 Richmond's way. So they got it in there enough times, but the thing was, when they got the ball in there, they weren't kicking it to the advantage of their players. They were, weren't giving the Geelong forwards the service that they sort of needed, and Richmond was able to, put their pressure on, be a bit more cleaner at times, and they could have won by more.
They could have. Definitely could have. But
even though, that's where it's a funny game, AFL. They dominate the clearances and they still lose, and they could have lost potentially by another 2-3 goals.
Yeah, definitely.
This is where I'm at with Geelong. I just think, as I said previously, they've shown that come this time of year, at some point they just crumble. They may be able to win the first game, but they may be able to get through that first bit of finals, whether it be off the second chance or not. But I just think I don't see them getting any further than a prelim, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't say that.
And they've proven that they crumble at that stage.
Yeah.
So,
please,
Geelong, prove me otherwise, or else I'm sticking with what I've seen previously.
Last 2 games, I don't know if you can even bother wasting your breath on Essendon again this week. You got absolutely shellacked. It was 70 points. It was a mess.
The club's a shambles, Domma. I've said this. I've got no hope. I didn't even watch the game because I knew we'd get slapped. I didn't watch the game. Right, I was just like, this is honestly a waste of my time to.
When a team, when you know your club clearly, evidently, it doesn't look like they're putting any effort in at all.
Oh, I mean, when you're having a laugh last week in the huddle, like you spoke about, Dommo. So it just shows the fans where we're at as a club, where apparently it's acceptable to be okay to at halftime to be down 60 points and get smacked in games. And John Worsfold's comments just tipped it over the edge, saying, you can't just expect to demand success just because you're a big club. Sorry, John, this has not been, we're not just demanding success. This has been an ongoing thing going for the last 3 years where we've been trying to build to success. We've got key players in, we've got made trades, but continually you stick with the same old piece of shit game plan that has got us nowhere in an era, like I keep repeating, in an era where forward pressure is proven, repeat entry and forward pressure has been proven to get you wins and be a brand of football that can get you wins against the top sides. And we've shown when we bring that game, we actually compete with some of the better sides, but yet we fail to do that on a weekly, consistent basis. So who's at fault here? Are the players at fault? Somewhat, but you're at fault, mate, because you've allowed this to happen for the last 3 years. We've been statistically the worst team in all those categories for the last, we've been in the bottom 4 in the comp for the last, 3 years on that front, and it continues to go on, mate. And unfortunately, I don't know whether things are going to improve under Rutten. Apparently, he was supposed to be coaching this year and taking over. Some people want to be
just bring him back.
Some people want to be optimistic and say that he's not releasing. He doesn't want to say all his game plan because he doesn't want John Worsfold to steal his game plan. I don't know if that's true or not. It's just the most ridiculous thing. It just means that you've literally just given up a year of the club. You're like, why didn't you just sack the guy at the start of the year? Just be like, here you go, here's your 12 months, have a holiday, pay him out, and just put Rutten in charge. Like, I don't understand it, mate, and it's just ridiculous. I'm sort of a little bit fed up with the club. We're going in the wrong direction, and players there who have been there for a while are consistently doing the same things that they were doing previously. They're not showing improvement. You know, our midfielders still. I can go have a look at the stats. All I know is that none of our midfielders coming into this year, our key midfielders, have a disposal efficiency over 60%. And I believe, based off the games I've watched this year, none of them will end this year with a disposal efficiency of over 60%. So if they're supposed to be your guys delivering the ball into the 50, what hope do you have if they haven't gone and improved their kicking? So these same players are continually not getting better, and then we're continually not getting better with our game plan implementation. So that's on the coaches, part on the players. It's just ridiculous, mate. It's beyond a joke, and I'm at the point where I feel for Carlton supporters how they've felt over the last 20 years, essentially, where you just, 10, 15 years, maybe, there was a bit there.
You're literally just shoveling shit uphill.
But it's just like, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's just put it that way. We don't see the light. I don't see the light. Any Essendon fan out there, if you want to tell me at some point you're seeing some light, enlighten me, mate. Enlighten me, because I need some hope with this club. I need some hope, because at the moment, the only hope is these boys right here, the Los Angeles Lakers, and that's
not even in the same bloody competition.
And they got the best player on the planet, LeBron James. So
yeah, it's not good.
Boys, North.
I did say to you that I was going to get stuck into North Melbourne this week, and you know what? I thought, what would be a fitting treat, but to keep it for next week, for the reason of we play West Coast tomorrow night, and they need percentage to make it into the top four.
Let's see if you guys just roll over.
They're currently 22% behind Geelong. They're going to have to absolutely slam us this week, but I expect that to happen. So I'm going to wait till next week. And then I know I use the injury thing as an excuse. And I'm not using that shit anymore. No. If you sit down and watch North Melbourne, it was over at literally halftime against Fremantle. I turned it off and I came back and we ended up losing by a lovely old 64 points.
Yeah, that's cool.
Come on. I don't care if you're playing young kids, and that's the excuse. I use that excuse. I'll put my hand up and I'll say I did use that excuse, but enough's enough. You can't week in, week out go, we've got all these injuries, we're playing young kids, blah, 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 this and that. We got Zeeble back. We've got some experienced guys back in the team now. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it. I'll get into it next week because we're going to get absolutely slammed, and then it'll make me be able to go into the stats and fish out some more stuff to just go bang, 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 bang. They're shit. They're genuinely shit. So, and I know we say let's rely on the draft, but in North Melbourne fashion,
the draft can bring you success, mate.
No, yeah, but it's not proven if you're North Melbourne and you go to the draft that it can bring you success, because we bloody listed like 70% of all our draft picks because we've been a shambles at the draft. And
let's hope you've improved your recruiting department.
Let's look at this though, Sauce, just before we move on. In true North Melbourne fashion, we decided to finish second last the year that COVID hit, and there's no bloody amateur football being played in the state where we can even watch the kids. That's true North Melbourne. We're going to bottom out the year that there's actually no football happening. So the draft prospects, we don't even know what they are.
No, that's tough. That is really tough. You're literally just going to have to go on whatever highlights you can find of these guys. See if their parents have been filming their under-16s games. See how they go back then.
just maybe I might even put my name in the hat. Hopefully I can get drafted. I'd be useless, which wouldn't be a change from anything I'm watching.
You just
week
get delisted
anyway.
like the other
So,
70% of guys. So we just fit.
Yeah, but if I go out there and but if I go out on a weekly basis and I do jack shit, I'm exactly like every other player out there. So I fit in perfectly. So anyway,
that's hard.
Coming up next, we got some Formula One news. So stay tuned. All right. I love it. 3 weeks in a row. F1. Oh, last week was just elite, wasn't it? Just 3 new guys on the podium. A first.
Hold on.
Yeah, I know. First time Grand Prix winner last week in Gasly. Sainz on the podium for his second time. Lance Stroll first time on the podium. And then we come to this week and we get the same old crap bloody Lewis Hamilton wins again.
Hey, but not for anything. Tell us about this race, because this was a crazy race.
Oh, it was insane. So it was the 1,000th Grand Prix for Ferrari. So they've decided to have it in the home of Ferrari in Mugello. It's the first time they've actually driven that track as a Grand Prix, the Mugello track. So first for all races. Man.
Wait, let me just get you, for you. Ferrari's 1,000th Grand Prix, right? Do they wish they didn't have it?
Actually, I looked at the thing at the end, and I'll tell you what, it only took 8 cars to get knocked out and crash for them to actually finish 8th and 10th. But it literally took the whole field not to race. But
are they not ashamed that
I genuinely reckon if all 20 cars finish this race, they would have finished outside the top 10. Both cars. I read a comment. Someone summed it up perfectly about Ferrari. It literally looks like Leclerc and Vettel are driving around big red tractors, like a tractor. That's how they just look so slow. So slow. They get past with ease. I can't believe it. It's embarrassing. Like, I don't know what they're doing there. I say it every week. I don't know what they're doing down there. I don't know. I think they're just resigned to the fact that they're not going to be competitive.
Well, Vettel's had enough because he's out the door.
He's at Aston Martin next year. So Racing Point won't be Racing Point next year. They're Aston Martin F1s, and Vettel will be their top driver. So we'll see what happens there. I'm assuming Lance Stroll will be in the second seat there. But the race was crazy. Let's just say it was an awesome start to the race because Bottas overtook Hamilton, who was in pole. You get through the first corner, get through the second corner. On the third corner, safety car. So literally Grosjean and Raikkonen touched. They went into the back of... So Grosjean and Raikkonen touched. They didn't DNF, but they caused Verstappen and Pierre Gasly, who won last week, to both DNF. They crashed out of the race on the fourth corner.
Absolutely.
Not even a lap.
Busted.
So they were done. Verstappen already had problems because he got to a flying start, but then he couldn't get any power out of his battery. And if you watch the launch at the beginning, he just drops all the way back to like 8th and then goes into mid-pack and then jostling for position. He obviously got spun out and what happened. But Carlos Sainz also spun there, but all the cars did a good job avoiding that. So we have a safety car. So the safety car comes out. We're cleaning the debris. Bottas is first. Love and life. All right. And we're sitting there going, this is shit. Bloody 6 laps of the race is gone on the safety car. This is boring. 7 laps are gone. 8th lap. On the 7th lap, they go, next lap, safety car's going. So on the 8th lap, safety car goes into the pit. Now, the guy at the front, which is Valtteri Bottas, can set the pace however he likes. Yeah, so he's swerving, keeping his tyres warm. But as soon as he crosses the finish line to start the lap, he can gun it, or he can gun it beforehand. He can set the pace. Don't know what happened at all. He gets to the finish, he guns it. Everyone guns it. But before he gunned it, the mid-pack all decided that they thought that it was time to just go full pelt. and there was 4 cars that slammed into each other. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
So those mid-pack guys just knuckleheaded it. They weren't supposed to speed up. You can't start speeding up until the first guy starts speeding up.
I don't know if it was Latifi that just banged it first, and then or Giovinazzi. I don't know what happened there, but I'll tell you what, it was actually scary. Big props to the FIA and the F1 teams on how they reinforce these cars. Because I'll tell you what, if this is a crash back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, where there wasn't as much protection, someone would have died in this crash. They were going literally almost bloody 250 kilometers an hour and they smash into each other. It's unbelievable. So in this crash, on the straight, into the wall goes Magnussen, Latifi, Giovinazzi.
I've seen it. How do you crash on the straight?
And my boy, Carlos Sainz, who finished second last week, DNF'd the week before, DNF'd again. I'm like, are you serious? So at this point, guys, ladies and gents, we're 6 cars down and we're 8 laps into the race. And lo and behold, what happens for a second week in a row? Red flag. Everyone comes into the pit. We've got an intermission in the race for 10 minutes. I'm going, here we go again. Fair enough, because it's on the straight. There's a lot of debris. They've got to move all the cars. It makes sense. So red flag, doing what they got to do. Race resumes, and it was quality. So lap 8, this happened, and this just overtakes everywhere. Ricciardo smashing it through the mid-pack. Leclerc came out in like 3rd, and he just quickly went from 3rd to bloody 8th because he's slow. Everyone's overtaking. Norris is making moves, and
Danny Rick couldn't hold on to that 3rd spot.
No, he couldn't because Albon was too quick. So Stroll was 3rd. Ricciardo passed him. He was in 3rd, and it was all going. Oh no, he passed him, and it was all going well until we get to the 13 laps before. So 44th lap. Stroll comes around the corner, tyre blows at about 300 kilometers an hour, flies straight into the wall. Thank God he was okay. Red flag again. We've got another intermission. 2 in the same race. Anyway, he's sitting there during the time that they're working on cars and doing what they're doing. Esteban Ocon didn't finish because something happened with his brakes. They caught fire and melted part of the car, and it's just a mess, absolute mess. So we get back out. We have our last 13 laps. Hamilton's clearly in front, dominating, but then there's that fight for 3rd, and then Ricciardo fought with Alex Albon, who hasn't had a podium finish in his career, and he did so well, and he overtook Ricciardo. The Red Bull just had so much pace, and he finished 3rd. Great race, exciting race. Few alarm bells ringing in terms of Lewis Hamilton leading races. The fact that we think Mercedes as a whole is a powerhouse, and the fact that Lewis Hamilton's car can potentially, on the same tyres, still be 5 to 10 seconds quicker than his teammate is ridiculous.
Well, so, at some point, people need to realise that it's got a little bit to do with his driving skill.
It does. But the car, he gets the best parts because he's the world champion. I understand all that stuff. But it's just, if his discrepancy between him and his teammate is 10 seconds in a car, just imagine, that's why he's lapping people when he leads from the front. It's just, you can't.
Well, we hope that the regulations that they're bringing in next season will help some of the other teams potentially catch up to that pack and create a bit more exciting races. Although, at the moment, the exciting part is mid-pack. Yeah, as you mentioned previously, it's good racing.
Mid-pack is so good.
And you've got some up-and-coming youngsters that are driving well and getting some podium finishes this year. So, I mean, it's not all bad. We hope that there's a bit more competition and we don't see... potentially the way Hamilton's going, he wins the next
flogging
3 races. He's just going to have locked up that championship.
Yeah, pretty much
early.
We'll see what happens. There's no race this week. Sochi is the next one in 2 weeks' time in Russia. The leaderboard ended up Hamilton, Bottas, Alex Albon in third, Ricardo fourth, Perez in fifth, my boy Norris in sixth, Kvyat seventh, Leclerc eighth, Raikkonen ninth, and Vettel 10th. Not for anything, Raikkonen had a 5-second penalty, so he would have finished in front of Leclerc. So that just shows you the Alfa Romeo was quicker than both of the Ferraris. World Championship, Hamilton 190, Bottas 135. Verstappen stayed on 110. But the mid-pack, like we said, that's the exciting stuff. Norris is now fourth in the World Championship on 65, Albon 63, Stroll 57, Ricciardo 53. Leclerc somehow still there in his big red tractor on 49, Perez 44, and Gasly 43. Constructors, not even going to bother. Mercedes are 325, Red Bull are 173 in second. That just shows the discrepancy there. So, yeah, stay tuned for this race in Sochi in a couple of weeks' time, and hopefully we can see a different result. If we don't, well, bad luck. Right. Lewis Hamilton it is. So that's it from me, mate. What do we got coming up next? A bit of UFC. Oh, UFC you got a big card coming up, mate, to talk about. This is juicy. All right.
Let's get into it.
Stay tuned. All right, Saucey. Get into it. Big card this week.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, I'll just skim over the previous results on the main card as I usually do, which was UFC Fight Night, Watterson versus Hill. So we'll start with the featherweight division. We have Billy Pontillo versus Kyle Nielsen. He got the KO in the third round. In the lightweight division, Bobby Green, Alan Patrick. Bobby Green got the W with the decision through 3 rounds. Light heavyweights, Ed Herman versus Mike Rodriguez. Ed Herman got the submission round 3. I'll talk about this fight in a sec because I did watch it. Interesting stuff. Bit bizarre, but I'll mention it. Women flyweight, you had Roxanne Modafferi versus Adria Lee. Roxanne got the win, the decision through 3 rounds. Ottoman Azatar versus Calm Worthy. Ottoman Azatar, 13-0 now, so he's going to put his record from 12-0 to 13-0 with a KO in the first round. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it was a nice finish. And we had the women's strawweight division, Michelle Watterson versus Angela Hill, and Michelle Watterson got the win with the decision in 5 rounds. I'll talk about the Ed Herman, Mike Rodriguez fight. Went to 3 rounds. Through 1 and 2 rounds, Mike Rodriguez definitely on top, definitely winning the fight. Something really, really bizarre happened in the second round. The referee stopped the fight, saying that Mike Rodriguez had hit Ed Herman in the crown jewels, which he gave him time to essentially recoup his stamina. But on the replay, it clearly shows that he was nowhere near hitting him in the groin area, and it was more of a knee to the upper, sort of like his stomach area. I don't know what the referee was watching. That actually dropped Ed Herman. Mike Rodriguez was about to get on top of him and potentially would have finished the fight at that point because he'd hit him with a good knee in the midriff, and it looked like it had winded him. But the referee stopped the fight and called for time because he believed it hit him below the belt. Mike Rodriguez didn't know any better. He didn't know whether he'd hit him or not. But the replay clearly shows it was nowhere near that region. In the end, Ed Herman's gone on to win in submission in that 3rd round, and potentially the referee has cost Mike Rodriguez that fight because Ed Herman was at that point when he copped that knee, was hunched over. Mike Rodriguez just came in and finished him with a bunch of fists to his face because he was winded. He was holding his stomach. He didn't even have his hands up. He was hunched on the ground. He was ready to get pounced on. But the ref does something ridiculous. Dana White's actually calls this some Mazzagetti level shit. Anyone who doesn't know who Mazzaghetti is, just Google referee Mazzaghetti and controversy. He's made some of the worst decisions in the history of UFC and MMA in regards to stopping fights and things. So Dana White, that's a pretty bad thing to be compared to this guy if you're a referee being called that some Mazzaghetti level stuff. I don't know, Domma. It was a bizarre thing. Credit to Ed Herman. He did, he played it like a veteran. He pretended like he sort of did get hit. He stayed down for a good 1-2 minutes, got his breath. He came out, got out of that round. And then in the third round, Mike Rodriguez was forcing the issue, but he was actually on top. Ed Herman somehow was able to get his arm and bend his arm back behind him and get the submission. So,
wow.
Credit to him. He turned it around, but that referee, you really, really stuffed the fight with Mike Rodriguez. You cost him the fight, to be honest.
You cost him.
He was about to win that fight in the second round. Then the other fight that I tuned in to watch was Ottoman Azatar. Obviously, I love tuning in to see guys that are undefeated versus Calm Worthy. Well, let me just say the bloke deserves to be undefeated because he finished him in a lazy 1 minute and he finished him at 1 minute and 33 seconds. So that's like about 3 minutes into the round, 3.5 minutes into the round. It was pretty even. Like, they were both going well, but, Ottoman was able to hit him with a clean few jabs and hooks to the head that shaked him. Calm tried to get in the clinch because he knew he was in danger. But Ottoman had too much power, was able to push him off, not allow Calm to get into that clinch position and get some rest because he knew he was startled. And Ottoman just from that point finished the fight. Calm was upset at the end of the fight. The referee called it off, but the referee made the right decision. He literally copped 5 blows to the head when he was on all fours on the ground, didn't try to defend himself. Like, the referees will protect you as a fighter, dude. You weren't protecting yourself, so that's why the referee's there. Stepped in, finished the fight, loved it. But that's all I'll talk about. I only tuned in to see those 2 fights. What we do want to talk about, Tom, is this upcoming fight card, which is UFC Fight Night, Covington versus Woodley, with some absolutely cracking fights. Let me just tell you right now, you've got the middleweight division, Kevin Holland, Darren Stewart. Darren Stewart last time came out and showed that he's back in a bit of a way. So this should be a one to watch, definitely about to watch. You've got the women's strawweight, Mackenzie Dern versus Randa Marcos. Mackenzie Dern's is 8-1 record, so definitely one to watch out.
Nice.
Light heavyweight division, everyone remember Johnny Walker versus Ryan Spann. Johnny Walker, known for his absolutely crazy knockout power. Last game, in his last fight, he himself was, I believe, knocked out. So he's looking to come back. I will just have to... he lost the fight in decision, and the fight before that, he got knocked out by Corey Anderson. So he has actually lost his last 2 fights, when previously before that, he'd won quite a few. So we're looking for a big performance from Johnny Walker. He wants to show that he's a competitor in this light heavyweight division, where obviously we know John Jones has vacated the belt, and that belt is up for grabs. You need to be showing you're putting your best foot forward, wanting your opportunity at the belt. So this should be a good fight. Both have a very similar record, so I'm really, really excited for that one. Then you've got Kazat versus Chimav versus Gerald Mizukrat. So Kamzat. Oh, this is really hard name. I'm pretty sure he's Russian or something like that. So Kamzat, 8-0. Domma always love tuning in and watching guys that are undefeated. Let's see how he goes against Gerald Mizukrat, who has a record of 31-13. So he's been around the traps, wily old veteran. These are the fights as a undefeated guy that you need to be careful of, as we've seen with I can't remember his name exactly, just a few weeks back, where he was undefeated, 12-0, and came up against a veteran. The veteran was able to get the win, so you need to be careful. Then you got the welterweight division, Donald Cerrone versus Nico Price. Donald Cerrone veteran,
Brony
has
again.
he keeps putting his foot out there. Obviously, the man needs to feed his family, but in my opinion, Donald Cerrone's past his best. I would expect Nico Price to potentially win this one, but you know, Cerrone's shown before that he can come out and win fights. But from what I've seen in the last 2 fights, I just think it could be time to lay those gloves on the floor and exit the cage. But I'm not going to call it because it's UFC.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. One punch can change the fight. One kick, one knee, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
This is why I love watching the sport. And then, Domma.
Here we go.
We're talking about the main event of the evening, Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley. This is one to watch.
Smack talking.
Let me tell you. Colby Covington, the number 1 Trump supporter in the business. He always getting behind the big man Donald. But he comes up against Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley, the 38 years of age, standing 1.75 meters tall, weighing in at 77.1 kilos with a reach of 188 centimeters, up against Colby Covington, age 32, 1.8 meters in height, 77.1 kilos weight, 82.9 centimeters reach. So Woodley obviously got the reach on this one. This will be a really, really, really interesting fight. Been a bit of smack talk between these 2 guys for quite a little while. We've been wanting this one. We've been wanting this fight, Domma. Let me just tell you. Let's see how Woodley comes out. Obviously, he won his last fight. He lost his fight before that. So let's see what comes out of this next one. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited.
Oh yeah, bloody oath!
It'll be a great bout. And it's a great card all round. There's so many fights there that are going to be entertaining. So this is definitely a card to tune in this Sunday. UFC Fight Night. Colby Covington, Tyron Woodley. Tune in. Ladies and gents, it's going to be a big one. And on that note, Domma,
bang.
We're rolling on.
That's it, mate. Great stuff, Saucy. Coming up next, the EPL's back. So we've got some soccer to talk. All right, we are back. It's time. Soccer's back. EPL. Let's get stuck into it, shall we? Just bang it off. Rattle off some games. Started on Saturday. Your boys, the Gunners, 3-0 over Fulham. Looked very, very good.
Looked solid, Domma, and I'm happy about the performance. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I know. It's early days.
2 games time, we've got Liverpool, and this is what I said to my friend. Let's see where we're at when we come up against
100%
the league
against
side,
the big guns,
the best guns.
Leicester 3-0 over West Brom was expected, to be honest. Leicester were way too strong. Newcastle, after the interest from that new buyer backed out, they came out 2-0 over West Ham. Good win.
I watched that game, Domma. I watched that game, and Newcastle were the better side. I don't know what's the go with West Ham. They've brought a few players in, and we'll see. Early days, obviously West Ham mid-table team, but with some of the investment that's been put into that club in the last bit, they would be hoping that they'd be pushing for those Europa League spots this season.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be all so easy.
It's a bit of a struggle. I think we'll get to this game last. So we'll go on to Crystal Palace, Southampton. Wilfred Zaha netted in this game. Not surprised. Crystal Palace are actually very good organisation. They actually, funny thing is, they haven't won, I think, an opening game at their home ground for the 13 seasons in a row that they hosted an opening game. So they broke a bit of a drought there, got the win over Southampton, grinded it out. They were unlucky not to have a couple more due to offside. They were all over Southampton. Everton beat the Spurs. Our mate Jose Mourinho lost 1-0. I didn't catch any of this game, so not quite sure how.
Yeah, I tuned in. I watched the replay. I mean, Yeah,
Rodriguez played?
Rodriguez played, and he was good, man. And I think he's going to be
he's a good player.
good.
He's a good player.
He's going to be good for Everton. He's top class player, brings more quality, and I think Everton could potentially. We expected them last season with all those players that they brought in to take a next step and try, push for those. Maybe try push for the top four or push for that fifth spot to potentially get into a Champions League playoff spot. I think that's where Everton sees themselves as a club with some of the investment and players that they've brought in, which, rightfully so. Let's hope they can put it together this season because, that's start. These are the sort of
That's
sides
the start you want. You got to beat Spurs.
Tottenham
away as well. It's a
away
game for good
solid.
win.
Nothing I really liked about Spurs side. I think Spurs fans are going to get frustrated very quickly with Jose Mourinho because we know what sort of game style he plays.
Very defensive.
Completely different to Pochettino, who like to get on the ball, like to play that nice, beautiful style of football. Jose Mourinho is all about defense first. Maybe this could win. Maybe this could. Oh well, there's talks that they could potentially get Gareth Bale back. I mean, they've got enough talent there, Spurs. They've got enough talent there. I think they do.
Sure do.
It would be good if they could bring in a Bale quality player, a player of that quality, at least another player into the club.
I agree.
But
definitely.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Let's just wait and see what happens. It is
his
opening
last
week.
two stints at clubs haven't been too good, so let's see if he's going to be better this time.
Next one up was a good way for Chelsea to ease in their new additions to their side. They travelled to Brighton and they beat them 3-1. Not surprised there. Chelsea are, as we said last week, probably going to be a stronger outfit once again with the three signings that they had in the off-season.
Yeah, it just depends on their chemistry and how quick they
correct.
And, I mean, having some of these easier teams earlier in the season and they haven't – I think they've played a couple of preseason games. So, I mean, it's if that clicks, they're within a chance to potentially go deep into the season. And it also depends on how good you can start these first 10 games because as we've seen, Domma, what's happened last year, first 10 games was literally just Liverpool and Man City just winning them all.
Well, exactly.
And then after that, it just became a two-horse race to the end of the season until Liverpool was able to pull away. So it's crucial that you win these early games if you have any chance of being there at the end of the season.
Definitely. Wolves then beat Sheffield 2-0. Good win for them. And then this was the game that we were waiting for, and it didn't disappoint. Leeds United's first game back in the Premier League against Liverpool at Anfield. They did lose 4-3, but there was some promising stuff there for Leeds, but also some worrying stuff for Liverpool fans. I know it's first game back. They're probably still in party mode from winning the title. So very, very rare error by Virgil van Dijk that set up Bamford to score for Leeds, which was great. It was honestly great to see Leeds kicking goals at Anfield and making
it was good.
Game. It was awesome. It was so good. If it wasn't for an 88th minute pen for Mohamed Salah, they probably
scored a hat trick.
Yeah, they would have walked away with a draw. And mind you, if you haven't seen Mo Salah's second goal, it was an absolute ripper.
Absolute pearler, Domma. Absolute pearler. I watched that game start to finish. Great spectacle for a soccer game, 4-3 Premier League. That's what you want. You want goals. Obviously, Liverpool just the better side in the end, but not for anything. Leeds United, and I've watched a few of their games last season in the Championship.
Yeah.
The football that they play, I'm telling you, they're going to scare a few teams, and I think some of those teams that are in the bottom to mid half of the table should be wary coming up against Leeds United. They've also got their striker, which they brought in. I can't remember his name, but they're waiting for him to come back potentially, and he will probably lead the line instead of Bamford, and Bamford will come off the bench. So they've got some improvement to come. But just the football and the way that they played out from the back, I don't know whether this is a change of change of the guard in football in general, where you got more teams, even the lower teams, trying to play this nicer brand of football, putting passes together straight from the goalkeeper, essentially. You know, they're doing things like passing out from the back, right outside the box, and building plays. They scored 2 goals doing it that way, essentially building it out from the back. So, I mean, they play a beautiful brand of football. So if they keep playing that way, in that manner, they are going to be in the Premier League next season, and they should remain in the top flight, which should just be their goal for this season. Their goal
That's
for this
exactly
season
right. We said that last week. We just want them to stay up. Yeah, we just want them to stay up. That's literally what we were hoping for.
But
we'll move
if they
on
play
to
like that, Domma, I can see them finishing around 10th, 11th on the table.
Yeah, 100% they can.
For sure.
Yeah. They play a great brand of football, really attacking, and like you said, just great like structure and setup from the keeper to get the ball moving, which is good. You want clubs like that. We can already say they're better than a few teams down the bottom, just based off that first game.
Yeah.
So,
true.
Coming into this week, we got a full lineup here, mate. We got a big lineup. Everton kick it off against West Brom. Then on Sunday, Leeds have their first home game back in the Premier League against Fulham. I think they will get the win this week. Fulham, I think, are in a bit of trouble there under the management of Scotty Parker. I think they might be in a bit of trouble. They don't look the best. I know it's off one game. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, they can gel on the new system and be more competitive.
Yeah, look, let's see how they go against the opposition that's probably more at their level, and see how they go. I expect there to be goals in this game. I'm predicting a scoreline of Leeds, 3-2, something along those lines. I think Leeds will concede goals at times because they play such an attacking style of game. But against these lower sides, they're more than capable of banging in goals. Fulham, they were lackluster against Arsenal. I watched that game, obviously, Arsenal my team, so of course I watched that game. They passed the ball side to side, didn't really penetrate our defense. I think they should be, getting Mitrovic on there, getting him to lead the line, getting those wing guys and getting balls into the box and base your game around that. Try to get some second balls. Obviously pass it out from the back at times. But, use your big guy up front and maybe try bypassing some of that midfield area where at times Arsenal was able to catch them in the midfield on the ball and win the ball back in favourable positions, which, is never good, especially if you're a low, like a lesser of a team, you know what I mean, like mid-table pack team. You can't be giving the ball up in midfield in your defensive half where they did at times. That's just a recipe for trouble. So I think they need to vary their game up more. I think they tried to play too much passing style instead of maybe at times going a bit more direct and mixing up the game a bit more. So I think that's where they can be better. We'll see how they go against essentially another championship level side in that sense. That Leeds just up. Fulham, did they get promoted as well? Or, I believe second season after.
Second season, yeah.
So.
Yep. We'll see what happens there. It'll be a great game. The next one up, my boys finally getting on the park against Crystal Palace. Very confident we should get a win here. I expect a lot more from United to definitely just solidify a Champions League spot this year, not have to really battle for it at the end of the season. The talent's there. I know we're still trying to get a few guys, but we have in the past against Leeds come away with draws. Whether it is at Old Trafford or away at Palace. But we'll see what happens. Your boys then come up against West Ham, Emirates Stadium. You should
big news coming out of the week. Bumyoung signed his new contract. Happy days at Arsenal. Everyone's happy, so we're going to win this one. I think we'll win this. I think I'll go with the 2-1 scoreline. I think we'll make it. We'll somehow make it harder for ourselves than what it should be, but we should be able to get the win.
Easy. Southampton versus Spurs is next up. So Spurs are travelling away. See how they go at St. Mary's. We'll
Look,
see.
you know, there's one thing.
Get a good look at him this week.
Yeah,
So,
we'll be able to get a decent look at them. Like, obviously, they come against Everton last week, which is probably, you know, an
they're a good
upcoming
side.
side. They're a
They're a good
decent side. You just have to see where they're going to be at. I think Everton's got Ancelotti as the coach now, which I think that's like a super upgrade. That is, you know, Ancelotti's a great coach. Anyone out there who knows football, the guy is a maestro. He's coached some of the best sides in the world. So, yeah, definitely an upgrade on the coach from last season. Let's see what happens with Jose Mourinho and the Spurs this week. Let's see if they can turn it around and get the win at St. Mary's. I would think St. Mary's would be a difficult place to go when it's rocking and cocking with all the bands in there and they get loud. But without the fans, you know, I think Tottenham should be looking to get a win.
They should win.
Try keep a clean sheet. You know, I think this is could be a typical Jose Mourinho style win, 1-0, 2-0 Tottenham.
Yeah. Newcastle, Brighton, next up. Newcastle should really get that done. I don't see Brighton staying up by the end of the season.
Yeah,
Leicester,
tough one, Brighton. I think they're going to struggle this season.
Yeah, they're the team that's probably going to go down. Leicester then play Burnley. Leicester, mate, what a team! What a team they've become. So they'll get that sewn up. Villa against Sheffield United. That's a pick 'em. Wolves against Man City. Man City's first game of the Premier League season. Be good to see Messi get out there.
It didn't quite happen, ladies and gentlemen.
That's what I was wishing I could say. But it looks like they will probably sign Koulibaly. So there you go. They're going to get Koulibaly and then get Messi next year. So they'll be even better. But then the last game is the game of the week. Chelsea versus Liverpool, Stamford Bridge. Looking forward to this one. Champions against Chelsea. We'll see what happens.
This will be a good game.
Really good.
I think
really good game.
We see you know, both teams scoring. This should be a good contest. I can't see. Obviously they've just conceded 3 goals to Leeds. I can definitely see Chelsea netting. I can't see Chelsea keeping a clean sheet against Liverpool in that front attack. So there's both teams definitely going to score. It's just a matter of which team's going to be able to bang in a couple extra on either side. You know, maybe if I think regardless of whether Chelsea had fans at the game or not, I'm still picking Liverpool at this point in the season, this early in the season, just because they're form side of the last 2 years essentially. So, and Chelsea, a few new players, getting a few more chemistry, things to nut out, I believe. But they're on the up.
They'll get there, I reckon.
They're on the up.
Yeah,
they've made some really good signings. Timo Werner, he's definitely a gun.
Oh, he's a gun.
A couple of the other signings that they've made there are big names. So they're on the way up. They're definitely on the way up.
Definitely. There you go.
They've got Havertz as well.
Havertz. Well, let's look at the positive thing for you as an Arsenal fan. You are sitting on top of the ladder at the moment, so that's great. We'll see how long that lasts. But
let's see where we are sitting after December, like how we always cock it up every year in December.
Yeah, I know. Well, there you go. There's our take there for the soccer. Looking forward to this week's games. Coming up next, bit of football, NFL. Let's get into it. All right. Week 1 down, week 2. NFL's back. It was great. There was a lot of upsets last week. There was a fair few upsets.
A lot of upsets, Thomas. Some interesting results, some chokes.
Oh, there was some chokes. We'll get straight into it. Texans at Chiefs. Tell you what, there ain't no Super Bowl hangover down in Kansas City. Deshaun Watson can do whatever he wants. Without DeAndre Hopkins there, after he got traded away, the Chiefs and Mahomes just looked... They haven't missed a step, really, getting back into it. As we know, they'll be up there right at the end again. Probably the biggest choking, Philly at Washington. We know Washington's had some controversy in the offseason. Mate, they were down 17-0,
That is a monumental choke.
and they just
You know,
stuffed it up.
I just thought, regardless of everything, Philly, they had enough. They had enough there to be able to nut out a win. But up 17 zip, and you choke to that Washington side. Haskins at quarterback. Is that the bloke?
Yeah, Dwayne Haskins. Yeah,
Dwayne Haskins at quarterback. I mean, come on, Wentz, you got to be better. Whatever. I think his offense got to be better at protecting. He's got sacked 3 times. He had a couple turnovers. He had a fumble. So, really disappointing from Eagles. Like, I mean, even though they've got a bunch of injuries, I thought, week 1, you've got injuries. I think, you come out here, you get this win. Going into this week where they're facing a tougher opponent, I think, this was a game that they needed to win. This really disappointing.
It was extremely disappointing. Next one up, your boys, well, not your boys, your mate, one of your favorite players with a quarterback rating in week 1 of 143.1, completing 31 of 35 throws. So the Seattle Seahawks cleaned up the Atlanta Falcons. That man is my favorite player
in the league. Like, he's just so consistent. He's Mr. Consistent. I'm a bit annoyed at myself because I looked at that line during the week. I think it was 2.5 points, and I wanted to take it. That was the gut feel. But I listened into a couple of NFL pods. People weren't really liking Seattle. I let that sway my decision. I should have just gone with my gut, Domma, because I wanted to make that as a bet, and I'm annoyed that I didn't. But Russell Wilson, let's just not shade over the fact. The man is an absolute monster. He's Mr. Consistent. And just run us off what he's going for there, Tom. He's just an absolute wizard.
Oh, he averaged 9.2 yards a throw, 4 TDs, rating of 143.1. He also rushed for 29 yards. It was just amazing. DK Metcalf was good. He received a rank of 95. He was good, but Atlanta receiving is the thing that was very interesting. So Matty Ice, 98.5 quarterback rating, threw 37 to 54 for 450 yards. Julio Jones had receiving for Atlanta 157 yards. Calvin Ridley had 130 yards receiving, and Russell Gage had 114 yards receiving. That is massive.
Yeah,
absolutely. And they, if you don't know, Todd Gurley, who got cut by the Rams, is at Atlanta, and he carried 14 times for 56 yards. So, not bad.
Not too bad. But, I like Russell Wilson. I think even though Seattle, they've made their defense isn't what it used to be, I just think Russell Wilson and that offense has a lot of power, and I can, he's put up 38 points. Come on, it's going to be tough for some teams, and Matty Ice and the Atlanta Falcons showed that they can move the ball down the field.
They can move the ball, definitely.
So I wouldn't think that's alarm bells for Atlanta Falcons.
No.
I'd still be quite confident. I mean, you've lost to a good side, in my opinion. I think you can still potentially push for playoffs. In your division and maybe get a wild card spot. So, I just think they got beaten by the Bruins. That is Russell Wilson. More than the fact that maybe Seattle is a better team or not a better team. You don't know. I just think Russell Wilson's a better quarterback, and
he's a gun.
Quarterback being the most important position in NFL. That's where games can be won and lost.
Exactly. Next up, we had the Jets against the favorites to win the division, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen played really well, 33 for 46. Stephon Diggs, his first game at the Bills, averaged 10.8 receiving yards on 86 total. He had 9 targets. It was awesome. Sam Darnold, pretty average, but the Jets are average, so not much to expect there.
shocking, the Jets.
Yeah.
And I really feel for our boy Gary V because he's a massive Jets fan.
He is a massive Jets fan.
You can't buy that organisation quick enough because they don't seem to improve year on year.
Yeah, they're just struggling. Next up, the Bears at Detroit stole the win. Mitchell Trubisky, we spoke about him last week. He beat out Nick Foles for the starting quarterback job. Not a bad effort. Got the win away. Danny Amendola, old New England receiver down there now at Detroit. Matt Stafford, he struggled a bit. Adrian Peterson was really good for Detroit. He carried for 93 rushing yards on an average of 6.6, but Chicago was too strong there. Next up, my boys got slapped against New England. They just weren't up for it. 21-11. Fitzmagic. There was no magic about a 44.6 quarterback rating with 3 interceptions. It was just a disgrace. Let's be honest. It was terrible.
Yeah, look, it's probably an easy game for New England and Cam Newton to come out and to start off with Miami. We can't really see them being too good this season. No.
We always come good in the second half. We band together a few things, but expect Tua to start probably towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I think it's just important to get games under his belt and improve for next season. So
exactly. So it's just literally just a waiting game. We'll see what happens there. Your boys, well, another one. I keep saying your boys, but your man, Aaron Rodgers. Packers beat Minnesota 43-34. This was a great game. Aaron Rodgers threw for 4 TDs on a rating of 127.5. Kirk Cousins threw for 259 yards at a quarterback rating of 118.6. So some high-level quarterback play.
An offensive game. Like, these are the games in NFL that you want to watch. Heaps of offense, and I've said, that Green Bay offense with Aaron Rodgers leading it, it can be as potent as any offense in the league, but it all depends on that man, Aaron Rodgers, and him being able to be protected. Protected, I don't just mean like obviously not, his team protecting him, but protecting him from getting injured because, it's been proven that he's quite injury prone, going through this latter part of his career, but he's also proven that when he is fit, he is still a top 5 quarterback in this league. So, if they can keep him fit, they're within a chance of winning that division. I think I did have them on top, and I think if he stays fit throughout the season, they do win that division. I'm quite confident on that point. But, good win, definitely.
Very good win.
Early divisional win, I believe. That's
it is. Yeah, Minnesota is in the division. Next up, the Las Vegas Raiders, first game under the new branding, beat the Carolina Panthers. Derek Carr came out, played very well, actually, which was good. Beat Carolina. They're a bit all over the place. Teddy Bridgewater, their new quarterback.
Not happy, Domma. Not happy. Took the +3 on Carolina. Thought they could cover that and got beat by a point on my bets. Anyone who doesn't know, I'll put the update out on socials with how my bets went from last week and where we're sort of sitting at with our current pool, and we'll be mentioning the bets I will be having this week at the end.
Well, this is one team that didn't help your betting cause in the slightest. Your actual team, the Indianapolis Colts, lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Gardner Minshew threw for 3 TDs on 173 yards with a QB rating of 142.3. He came out and outplayed Phillip Rivers, who had a TD in his first game as the Colts starting.
I thought
QB.
They were tanking for Taylor Lawrence, mate. They got their number 1 quarterback right here. Gardner Minshew.
I told you who should be tanking for Taylor Lawrence, mate. I reckon Taylor Lawrence is the second coming of Troy Aikman. I reckon the Dallas Cowboys should just freaking pack it in. Why the hell do you want Dak Prescott? You can get Trevor Lawrence, who put the same production as Dallas in the first bloody week. Yeah. I'm not. I'll get to Dallas. I don't. Just
look.
Dallas.
Let's stay on this point because this. I'll tell you right now. This is an unacceptable loss for the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh no!
I called you guys to win the division. And you've lost the divisional game to Jaguars, arguably the worst team in the comp. They've clearly traded out all their talent. Just not good enough, to be honest.
No,
Just
it's
not
not.
good enough. They were outscored in the last quarter to 10-3. They had no heart, no show of wanting to win the game. I mean, turned over the ball 2 times. I think he threw, he had 2 interceptions, Philip Rivers. But this is where we're at. We've never been able to run the ball over the last 3 sort of seasons. We've had no running game. It's been non-existent. And still, our top running guy finished with 28 yards. I'm not exactly sure exactly how many running yards we were able to push down the thing. I'm just going to get it up here, ladies and gents. There we go. Yeah, total yards 445, but total rushing yards of only 88. In retrospect, you had they had 241 yards in total, and 91 of their yards were rushing. So they actually beat us in the rushing. And when you're asking Philip Rivers to throw it 46 times, it's always going to be a danger game. Because, although I think Philip Rivers is an upgrade on Jacoby Brissett, there's no doubt about it. It's shown in the past when Philip Rivers is guns it around, he can prone to interceptions and turnovers. So I think we need to establish a running game. We need to be able to, get over 100 yards rushing, be able to get some early rushing yards in those early downs to make it a bit easier on Rivers so he doesn't have to be so pressured on third downs. His third down, he was 4 of 12 from third down. So, not the best. But
it was just a
we're going to get
right?
less into those situations. So,
Definitely.
yeah, got to be better, man.
Well,
Got to be better.
Well, you're a lot better than the offensive powerhouse that played the Super Bowl favorites in the next game. So the offensive powerhouse, Cleveland Browns, put up 6 points in the first quarter. No, but they are an offensive powerhouse. I'll read you their names on their team. You'll be like, wow, they put up 6 points with these guys. So 6 points and then got shut out. In the last 3 quarters, they scored a zip. They lost 38-6. Lamar Jackson had a QB rating of 152.1 with 3 TDs and gave them a bath. As simple as that. He destroyed them.
He was the leading rushing player on his team, let alone obviously the leading passing guy because he's the QB.
He's just done it all. Joke.
The man's a wizard.
But it was just insane. Like, this is some of the guys that they have on their team. Cleveland, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, Odell Beckham Jr., Austin Hooper. Like, come on, man. Like, it's wow. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, they got to be doing better. But, once again, Domma, this is the Cleveland Browns. They have been so bad for so long.
Baker Mayfield did nothing to help.
Baker Mayfield, he's not doing anything to help himself. He hasn't shown that he's going to be taking that next step. They did come up against one of the favoured teams, so we'll see how they go against their opposition this week, the Bengals, which is, I feel maybe potentially a team more in their vicinity.
I'll tell you what. Well, we'll actually get to that game because that was the next one up. Joe Burrow had a better quarterback rating than Baker Mayfield had. Anyway, he played the Chargers. He didn't play against obviously elite defense like an offense that Baltimore
had.
Albeit
didn't play against elite defense, but he played against.
But he showed up. He played
on the
well.
other side of the ball with the 2 corners in the Chargers lineup, both being Pro Bowlers previously. So they're no scrubs, let me tell you.
No way.
If it wasn't for anything, that game should have gone to overtime. Missing the regulation field goal. And Burrow actually went 8 of 10 on his last drive down the field and led him up to that point to actually equal the game.
He looked good. He looked really good.
That's what you want to know. That's what you want to know. Like, maybe he was a bit phased, a bit overawed in the early parts of the game, but come crunch time, he was able to step up, which is, more shows more what he can do than, that sense with that late game 2-minute drill, like they like to call it in the NFL, being able to go down the last 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, and lead a potential drive that's going to keep you in the game or win the game. So
Definitely,
yeah, interesting stuff. I think it's good signs from Joe Burrow the early days. So let's see how he keeps tracking going forward.
exactly. Next up was a massive upset to my Super Bowl pick, who I predicted was going to win it. The San Francisco 49ers lost to the Arizona Cardinals. And as we said last week, that DeAndre Hopkins addition was a blessing for Kyler Murray and his offense. DeAndre Hopkins on 16 targets had 14 receptions for 151 yards. He played very, very well. Kyler Murray
rushed for 91 yards.
Yeah, rushed for 91. QB rating of 78.1 off 26 of 40 for 230 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. It was good. Garoppolo played well. Can't say he didn't play well, but they just couldn't get the chocolates, mate. They played really well at the end, and they came up big in clutch time. Arizona, they literally got a touchdown right at the end of the game, and that booked in the victory.
That's a good win, Domma, if you ask me. So
massive.
That's probably a game that Arizona gets the picture at the start of the season and probably not looking at it thinking that they can win that game. It's more like, most people will be like, oh, this is potentially a win for San Francisco, but the fact that they were able to outscore them in the last quarter and put on 14 points to 7. Kyler Murray, huge, it's ups. I believe that teams would be able to work out Kyler Murray in his second season after having a bit of a year of footage of him at the pro level. But the guy looks like he's elusive, super elusive. He's got that fleet foot, similar to Russell Wilson. Not to say he's to Russell Wilson's caliber yet, but when you've got that ability to be able to keep plays alive and scramble and makes stuff happen for your team, especially in tough spots. That's what you need from your quarterback.
100%.
He's the leader of your team. So when you've got a guy like that, that's doing stuff like that, it just brings up the other players to bring up their standard of play. So, we don't know what could happen to the Cardinals. They've got a good offense. So, yeah, maybe we underestimated them this season.
Maybe we did. We'll always see.
We don't know. It's week one. Yeah. There's no preseason games, ladies and gentlemen. It's really, really hard to get some formula, some chemistry within your team. I think as sort of week 2, week 3 comes out, then we'll sort of be seeing the teams that are going to be in it properly.
It will emerge as the better ones. I'll quickly just smash through these so we can get through next week, so then you can give it your bets. Pittsburgh, good return for Roethlisberger. 3 TDs, beat New York. New York's still not up to it. They're struggling a bit. Saquon Barkley, unfortunately, 15 carries for 6 yards on an average of 0.4 of a yard. So not great for him. Next, then we had Titans versus Broncos. Where's our boy here? Gostkowski. Where is he? Missed 3 field goals in a row. He was getting bagged. I got a notification on my phone. 6 minutes later, I get another notification. Stephen Gostkowski's kicked the game-winning field goal. So everyone was bagging him.
But when it counted, he came up clutch.
You can miss 20 field goals, but if you kick the one that wins it, that's all that matters.
It's all forgotten. It's all forgotten.
Good win. Drew Lock looked all right in his first game. I think, pretty sure.
I'm not sure. Did you mention the New Orleans?
No, I'm getting that. I've kept these two to the last.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, we've got my boys my second favorite team behind the Dolphins, Dallas Cowboys. Jeez. Dak did all right. He had a QB rating of 92.5. But I'll tell you one thing with Dak. We should do this every week. This is like our Brisbane Lions stat with their kicking efficiency. the yards that he throws, yeah, he was 25 for 39. I promise you, Dak will have no more than 5 games this season or 4 games. Actually, no, let's be realistic. You only have 4 games where he throws over 330 yards. 4 games. That's it for the whole season. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's
So
not good enough.
I've called that. I've called that now. I've put that in existence. He doesn't know how to do it because he's dinking Dax, as they say. He just, they just shit me up the wall, Dallas. Just tank, get Trevor Lawrence. I'm sick of Dak. He's not the future, but they are loaded on the offense with Cooper, Lamb, Gallup, and Ezekiel Elliott. So,
I mean, Zeke ran for 96 yards, so
yeah,
I mean, I don't know what more you wanted them to do. I think,
Zeke looked good.
And not for anything, Domma. He had the opportunity. He got the ball back, fourth quarter, 2 minutes 20 on the clock, 2-minute drill. That's why you get paid the big bucks as the quarterback, because you're supposed to be able to run your team down there on a game-winning drive, get the touchdown, and secure the W. He was unable to do it. And, it's not the first time that that's the case, and teams have put that on him. But that's the knock on him, Domma. When it comes to crunch time and those times where you need your quarterback to step up and lead a game-winning drive, like we're seeing the better quarterbacks do on multiple occasions, your Russell Wilsons, your Drew Brees, your Brady's. He's unable to do it.
No, he's just struggled. He really has. The last game to cover was New Orleans against the Tampa Bays, as they've been calling them, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady.
Good start for my Super Bowl pick. Good start.
Your Super Bowl pick came out big. Drew Brees played very, very well. Tom Brady struggled. It's first game in the new team. He was 2-2, so 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. Yeah, he got outplayed. The whole team got outplayed.
He said that after the game. He said we need to be better. We were outplayed.
They look good, but they look good.
Yeah, but New Orleans, people were worried with a bit of the controversy was going on, but it seems as though they've swept that stuff under the carpet in the locker room and just here to play some football. And this is why I like them. They had the opportunity here to get the jump early on potentially the only other team that could give them any trouble in that division. And they've got that win. And I think Tampa Bay will have a few things to work on. But, don't underestimate the other guy that was key in New England, and that's Bill Belichick.
100%.
He was a master at play calling, a master at, situational games and managing clock, and just a genius, right? Just when it comes down to the nitty-gritty details that you need to do to execute down the stretch to win games in football. He's a master. So I think there's going to be a bit of a learning thing, and no pre-seasons definitely hurt the Buccaneers in my view. So we'll see how they go over the next sort of 3 games, and let's see where we're at. And that.
Definitely.
I'm not, it's no alarm bells. I think this was a game when I looked at it, I expected New Orleans to win, and that's just because the no preseason factor. So there's always going to be chemistry issues. New Orleans had a great year last year, and they've only just bolstered their sort of roster. They haven't really made big cuts. They see that they've still got opportunity. So, yeah.
Definitely. We'll see how they go. I'll just quickly run through the games this week, and we'll get into your bets. We've got Bengals at Browns, Jags at Titans, Panthers at Buccaneers, Broncos at Steelers, Rams at Eagles, 49ers at Jets, Bills at Dolphins, Vikings at Colts, Lions at Packers, Falcons at Cowboys, Giants at Bears, Washington at Cardinals, Chiefs at Chargers, Ravens at Texans, Patriots at the Seahawks, which is a big one, and then the final game of the week, the Saints at the Raiders. So, Saucy, give us what you've got in store for this week.
Here we go. So, ladies and gents, look, I'll just run it through the last week. So obviously last week I had Baltimore -7. They comfortably smashed that. I wanted to actually do a bit more percent, but I was just playing safe. Week 1, I was unsure what's going to happen. I had Carolina +3. We obviously lost that. San Diego Chargers, I had them over 22.5 points. They obviously ended only on 16 points, so I scrapped that. Then I had the other one was I had a multi where I had Colts -3, Arizona versus San Francisco game over 41.5 points, which that ended over 41.5 points. I had Green Bay Packers +8.5. That ended that way. So if the Colts didn't stuff us, we would have had a positive week coming out of that, even if we got that multi. But typical Colts fashion, you let me down, my team, so you can get stuff and might not be betting on you the rest of the season. So going into week two,
Here we go.
we're going to go, we're starting it off Thursday night football, Friday morning here in Australia. We're taking the Bengals on the line +6 with the Browns. I believe, the way that Joe Burrow was able to move the ball, I believe that the Bengals will be able to move the ball against that Browns defense, who aren't the best, considering they just gave up 36 points. I think they'll be able to move the ball. They'll be able to keep this game close. The only thing that worries me is the number is of a key number of 7, which is a touchdown,
TD, yep.
a TD. So that's probably the only thing that worried me, but that's why I'm only taking it for 1%. So Bengals +6.
Bang.
Then we are going to take the. Let me just have a look at the week 2 here. We are going to take the Ravens. They're coming up against. We're gonna back the Ravens in again at Houston. But don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, these games are played without fans. So really, how much of a home field advantage is it? They're -7 on the line. Baltimore Ravens over Houston. I think they win this game, and if they do win, they win by a touchdown minimum. So I like that we've been able to secure the number of 7. Maybe this gets bet a bit heavier, and that number jumps up to 7.5. So I'd suggest if you can find a 7 out there, getting a 7. I've taken that for 1% of our betting bankroll. Then I will move on to the next one. So the next one, I'm taking the Green Bay Packers -6 on the line at home to the Detroit Lions. I think after what I've seen from Detroit last week and after what I've seen from Green Bay, I think this is an easy cover. I've taken it for 2% of betting bankroll. So that's -6 Green Bay Packers. I think they easily win this by a touchdown or more. So that's why I'm going with the -6. And last but not least, a big 3% of bankroll, which if anyone who's unsure, we only bet maximum 3% of the bankroll, the whole betting bankroll management, which I have put an article up on our Twitter and pinned it to the top. So anyone who wants to read an article that what I'm talking about, please go there and view it, because I suggest you do this if you are serious about your betting or want to stay and manage your losses so that you can have more fun and gamble responsibly. So I'm going 3%, Domma.
Wow.
3%.
Here we go.
Big play of the week.
Here we go.
3% -1. The LA Rams up against. What are they up against? Oh, wow. I've really cocked this one, ladies and gents.
Oh, no. I even closed it.
Don't worry, ladies and gents. We'll get it. The Los Angeles Rams up against the Philadelphia Eagles. After blowing that 17-point lead, how can I have any confidence with the Eagles, even though I picked them to win that division? They've got so many injuries, Domma, and as I said earlier, that was a game against Washington, that they should have tried to win that game, because coming up this next game, this is a tough game. Albeit Rams are away from home, but don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, once again, these games are playing without no fans. So how much really of a home field advantage is it? Not much. And I just think with all the injuries that Philly's got, the line of -1. So essentially, just getting a win will get, even if they win by 1, we get a push. But I just think LA Rams win. So I could see them winning and covering that line comfortably. They were able to move the ball against Dallas and put points on them. I can't see how they can't put points on Philly, especially Philly. Some of those injuries, they've got 4 or 5 injuries on the defensive side of the ball, which is going to hurt you in the end. Rams cover -1, 3% of your bankroll. Let's hope we can be in the positive this week. So I've kept this all updated. I'll put these on the socials, obviously, and get these out. And I'll put a bit of an update as to where we're sitting. And if anyone who wants to track any of this, it's all being tracked in our Instagram on a highlight on our page. So you can view all that there in sequential order.
Perfect. Awesome, mate. Thanks for the tips. That was our review. Also, as we always say, gamble responsibly, and we'll see how this week in the NFL pans out. Coming up next, just a really quick explanation of what's happening for Hobby Talk this week. All right, here we go. Hobby Talk this week. Unfortunately, if you listen to this podcast, you're not getting anything. Unfortunately. So what's
this week? With the
disappointment. Yeah. So what's happened this week?
Not really, ladies and gents.
No, it's actually you're in for a nice treat. Coming out probably Friday.
Yeah, Friday or Saturday.
Friday or Saturday. We did a special edition podcast of Hobby Talk with Charlie from Cherry Collectibles. Great insight and great discussion we had around sports trading cards and some other trading cards that are in the market and how things are just trending. And it was really good insight. And
just a good discussion. And we asked him a few questions and sort of tried to bring something different to the Hobby Talk. And I think this is something that we're going to try to keep doing moving forward, getting some people who have been in the hobby for a while and getting them on. Just bringing different views like we like to do, and once again, just bringing content about sports trading cards, which is what we're passionate about, along with sports itself.
So, as we said, keep an eye out for it. We'll have this obviously tabbed in our YouTube clip, so then you can go straight to it and get the information. But keep a lookout. We'll put it all over our socials once it's released. So, keep an eye out. Coming up next, the most anticipated segment of the show, Sauceys Collectibles. All right, big fella, what have you got for us? Sauceys. I said Sauceys Collectibles in the last
I know, you cocked it up. That's why I was just let it run.
Cock that up. Sauceys Collectibles. Well, you can find him at Sauceys Collectibles.
Thank you very much, Dom, for the promo. That was a good segue.
Sauceys Smokey is what I was meant to say. I cocked that up big time. So Sauceys Smokey, what do you got for us, mate?
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll just so the Smokey I've got at the moment. So anyone who's not aware with just the whole sort of where the basketball market has gone at the moment, with a lot of there only essentially now being 4 teams left in the NBA. A lot of the steam in the market, which we've seen building up to the hype of the bubble and the playoffs, actually has fallen off, and a lot of that steam has been picked up and taken away with the NFL market. So in the meantime, while we're focusing in the American market is focusing on the NFL, and that's what we have to follow here in Australia. So if you're listening from Australia, well, I'm not talking about the American market because the American market affects the prices of cards that are in the Australian market because that's what people use as a comparison price. So what has happened is, the market has gone down. I've spoken about this in the past, and this is where I'm seeing it as a great opportunity to get in on some guys who you would like previously, but just with that hype of the bubble and that sort of thing, some of these card prices became way overvalued to the point where I even sold some of my guys because I just thought they shouldn't be going for this much. And now it's at the point where, albeit it's not at the point where it was, sort of like pre-COVID, that era there, but it's at essentially a 3-month low, some cards. So I'm going to talk about just a guy in general, but I'll give you specific cards to pick up as well. But the guy I'm talking about he's just played his second year. So he's an up-and-coming talent. His team was very close to making the playoffs. We're unfortunate not to make the playoffs. But, the way his career has gone at the moment in his first 2 seasons is showing me really, 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 really good promise going forward. So this is what you want to be looking for in trends to invest in a player. And potentially, you can either hold this player going forward, and keep it for the next few, either 12 months going through next season if you want to see an opportunity to sell it then, which I think you will have an opportunity, or you can hold it going forward, which, personally, this guy here, I'm holding him going forward into the future for many years, hopefully, as long as he has a successful career. I think he could be a banker going forward, and I think he's one of the great up-and-coming talents in the NBA. And that is none other than Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm super high on this guy. I think, now in an era of the NBA where big guys need to be able to shoot three, there's none better than Jaren Jackson. The guy can literally light it up from three. Averaged 39% on the year. That's an improvement on last year from 35%. His points has improved on last year, up four and a bit points on last year, so up to 17 points. And Domma, I actually, the reason why I look at this, because you don't want to look at these players that potentially a third-year breakout, and we've seen a small sample size in games that he was allowed to play in the bubble. He played 3 games where he averaged 25 points a game across those 3 games. So you need to think, ladies and gentlemen, you had 3 months off. What would he be doing those 3 months? He would have been in the gym. He would have been working on his shot. These NBA guys would have been working out somewhere, somehow.
Well, the interesting thing for JJJ was if he didn't get injured, Memphis probably could have won a few more of those games in the bubble.
Yeah. And
so
it's not for anything.
Just shows how important he is. So
yeah, he's important to their chances, and not for anything, as I said to you, Domma, like obviously you got Ja Morant on that team, but I actually think, Ja Morant's he's your first option because he gets the ball in his hands first. But as we've seen, he's more than a willing passer. And with JJJ's ability to knock down shots, and he doesn't just shoot threes. Anyone who has watched him play. He's got moves on the block. The guy's he's 20 years of age. He's already can light it up from 3. He's not afraid to take a mid-range jumper. He's got moves on the block. Probably his ball handling could improve a little bit, but I've seen him drive, and he's not the most ugly ball handler. I think it's just next year he takes that next step, and like we've seen with Brandon Ingram, he took that next step, won the most improved player. Jaren Jackson could potentially get on that trajectory and then improve his average points to above 23, 24 points a game. And that will see his card prices, essentially double from where they are. At the moment, you can, we'll talk about, obviously, his prison base card. His prison base card, PSA 10. So 3 months ago, it was selling at about 135. Fast forward, a month from that date, it was selling at 320. Whereas as it was going forward, selling for a month from then, and then about 2 months from then, about a month and a half from that date. So about halfway through, which is leading up to this hype, it was selling at 320. You had highs of 336, but then as obviously he got knocked out, it's come crashing down. You've now got a low sale at here, a lower sale of 162.50. I actually seen one actually go for 152.5 as well. So he's back around to that 3-month low to where he was previously. So some of that steam has now come out, where he's back to the point pre-bubble. And I think that's a good time to be able to pick him up because, you go have a look at someone like I likened him to improving like how Brandon Ingram has improved this year. If he shows that improvement, Brandon Ingram, PSA 10, prison base card, last 2 sales, one at 260, one at 300. So if he shows that improvement, his new baseline or base of his card, where it's going to be, will be around that 250, 300 mark. So potentially you can, if you wish to flip this card next season at some point, you may be able to. But I think he builds up and he builds on his career from here, and he has a good career going forward where, that young Grizzlies core grows together, and as a young team grows together and they just bring in a few more veterans around those young pieces, they could be pushing in that west side. And, I'm saying this is probably one of my more longer picks rather than a flip
short-term
pick,
thing, yeah.
Short-term thing. But I just think now's a good time to buy into some of his market. I mean,
especially even if you love him as a player, if you want him for a PC and you can get a PSA 10 for 150 US, that's pretty good.
And it's not even that, Dom. I was able to pick up a select concourse base card PSA 10. I think there's only 50 PSA 10s in the whole world. I think I picked one up just today I paid 80 US, which is not too bad. It's probably a bit more than what I was looking to pay, but the fact that there's only 50 of them, people probably haven't sent too many in to get graded. But I just think people are sleeping on this guy. And, once he all of a sudden starts averaging 25 points, people are going to start noticing him, and his card prices are going to rise, and the demand for him is going to rise. A lot of his attention is taken away from Ja Morant this year, but don't hide the fact that I genuinely think that JJJ is the number one option on that team. Like, he should be the number one option, with Ja Morant looking to, obviously do Ja Morant things, but feed him the ball on a consistent basis, which I think is what they need to do to go to the next level, because he's got that type of talent. So I myself was able to get a PSA 9 Silver Prism. I picked this up a while ago for super, super cheap. Heaps cheap. And now I think these are selling for about 130 US, which is okay. But personally, I'd rather just go pay the extra $20 and get a one of the PSA 10s, because it's just easy. It's a funny thing, this card business. If someone sees a 10 on there, it's a lot easier to sell that card than someone wanting to take the 9. But I feel that the market's going in a way that you can get a good deal on a PSA 9 or a BGS 9. Or a SGC 9.5 and above. Take the deal. Have a look around. But just JJJ, Jaren Jackson Jr., plays for the Memphis Grizzlies. Him in general, I just think, he's on the trajectory of taking his game to the next level. And I think he's a guy that, if you're wanting to start a PC, he's still somewhat affordable. So, he's a guy to invest in for the future. And potentially his career turns out the way that I think his potential has shown, he may have a long and prosperous career in the league.
Good pick. There you go. Sauceys Smokey. He's come with the facts. He loves the facts. He's come with the facts again. That's great stuff, mate. No smoke this week, or?
No smoke. No smoke this week. I thought I'll put it in the cue ball. I'll put it in the rack. I'll put it in the rack this week.
Oh, you caught me off guard last week. It's quite good, actually. Oh, perfect, mate. There you go. Another one down. Thanks for tuning in. Awesome stuff. We'll see how all this basketball stuff transpires over the next.
Let's go, Lake Show.
Let's go the Heat. Come on, Heat. Let's get to the finals. Let's do it. Come on, bucket.
Lake Show versus Miami Heat. That's what we want.
Oh, that's what we want.
That's what we want.
It's just setting the stage.
You. And then we're going to have to do some crazy stuff. We're going to have to do if it actually is Miami versus Lakers, we're going to have to do a live stream, us two watching the game.
I think live streams, I think we even need to set some bets between the two of us, I reckon, that we have to live out to. I reckon that's on the cards. We think
are we going to slab a Jew like Skip and Shannon?
Skip. Oh, Shannon, he loves it. Anyway, it's been your boy Dom with Saucy. Keep living, loving, and breathing sports. It's been double coverage.
Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcasting app. Also, if you could please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that would be awesome. Don't forget to follow us on socials at DBL coverage _ on both Instagram and Twitter to join in with your opinions.